Alright, I should have checked. How the audio is. Oh, can I lower it? Okay. I should have really done all this before, huh? Let me put it here, and then I'll put the audio output. Is that okay? Hold on. Let me do a little test. Okay, I'm just gonna put a regular video on and see.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, Modena in Japan. Today
I can't even hear it though.
Racism that I've experienced at my Japanese
Uh-oh, I
university from
can't hear the
undergrad all the way
audio.
to grad school in
Shit.
chronological order. As you guys know, I've been
That's not good.
in university for quite some time now. I did my undergraduate degree here, the full 4 years. I moved here in September of 2017.
Oh wow, that's ugly. Damn, I don't think this is gonna work. I can't hear the audio. So I guess they can hear the video that's playing,
from the students, from
but I can't hear it.
professors.
So what's the point if I can't hear the...
Going in chronological order from undergraduate degree to graduate school. So
can you go to my... Are you subscribed to me? Can you go to my channel and... Because I need to hear what it sounds like.
I was in Japan. We went to orientation.
Oh, you know what?
And I was meeting all of these students, and I was like,
oh, you know what? My volume was down on my laptop.
Here. There were other students from Africa, which was fine.
But can, yeah, can you still... I need to...
But I was the only black...
No, let me see. Hold on.
I guess you could say girl at this like university in my first year.
No, it's not that one.
Obviously I met other black women along the way.
Shoot, I don't even know how you would like...
But other than that, I was the only one in my grade who was a black American. And obviously, like, we're in a Japanese university, I wasn't expecting like so much diversity.
Oh yeah, here.
So many international students from other Asian countries.
It's not that one.
So
okay.
From Hong Kong who came
I need to hear like in relation to the sound of the video and my sound.
And
that's pretty good.
Why he just called me a black. So I was asking people like,
it's on delay though.
Why did he call me a black? And everyone was saying that I was being too hostile because English is my first language. So he was speaking English fluently. So I was very confused about that. And I continued to hang out with this person like in groups, and we'd go on walks and stuff, and he would say, oh, I really love racist jokes. And I'm like, okay, about your own race? He's like, no, I really laugh because I feel like black people do not have fathers. And he started making jokes about fatherless black people.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
It was very confusing to me as to why I was the one that was.
But okay, thank you so much for that. That actually was really helpful.
Anything to stop this.
Okay,
except for me to say, hey, I'm really uncomfortable.
All right, that was good. Now I have to sign into the Zoom. Can you send me? Can you go to that link? Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna share this link with you. Oh my god, let me put this group chat to on mute because the notifications are just gonna be popping up like every 5 seconds. Let me dox myself really quick and go to my Instagram, and I'm gonna send you this link so then I can take it and I can copy and paste it through my phone and post it on my story, please. Yeah, I really need to mute that group chat because okay. No. Are you serious? Come on. Copy. Okay. Cool. So that one I'm gonna use it to post it on mine. Dang, I need to log on to the Zoom. Zoom. All right, let me mute that group chat first. All right, muted. No. Join a meeting. No, not right now. They're not seeing it. Hold on, let me join 838-83-84-62-98. No, nothing. I just need it. I need it right now. Turn off my video. There we go. Turn off my video. Password is 090720. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Okay, cool. So now I'm going to get that link and post it on my story. Okay, cool. Now I wait. Yeah, they're going to start it right now. Me? It's because I set it up mostly last night, you know, to see if it worked and to like connect this to my YouTube and all that stuff. It's pretty easy once you get the hang of it. Like if you like set it up quickly. It's delayed though, right? Yeah, I'm not gonna turn on my camera because I just feel like it would be more problems. So now I'm in the Zoom. I'm in the Oxnard City Zoom meeting waiting to speak because the first thing I'm going to talk on is going to be item not on the agenda, so they do that first. And then the second thing I'm going to talk on is going to be later on in the meeting. No, it's delayed. The stream is delayed. Yeah. Someone's hacking me in real time. People are so nice telling me like good luck and stuff. I see someone in here because they're putting heart reactions in the chat. Is that you? I can see that in the chat. I can see the hearts popping up in the chat. Damn. Not him supporting me. It's 6:02, brother. Why is this not? And usually it's funny because the live stream for the city will have a delay it'll be much slower than the actual Zoom. So right now on Zoom, because I've had it like that, I've looked at it. Like I've been on Zoom waiting to speak, and then I've had the YouTube live stream on for the city, and it's delayed. Yeah. No, I'm muted. So when you talk, they unmute you. So they well, you still have to unmute yourself, but they give you they pass the power, so to speak, onto you. Like right now, all I can do, I mean, I can get on the chat. No, the chat is disabled. Or I can raise my hand. That's it. But when it's your turn and that they see that you're in here, they do something and it allows you to unmute yourself. And then you unmute yourself and you talk. Yeah, that's why when I'm going to talk and I'm on Zoom, I'd rather be looking at the meeting through Zoom and not on YouTube because it's delayed.
Yeah, good evening. We're back from a closed session. And Mr. City Attorney, do we have any announcements?
Are you wearing your headphones?
Mayor, there are no announcements out of closed session this evening.
Can you tell me how
Thank you so much. Our next
can you tell me how loud it is?
This is ceremonial items. And this is a time where we pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
Oh, they're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance.
We'd like to show everybody that take a moment of silence for all the turmoil that's happening locally and around the world. Please
the turmoil that's happening. They're so... I can't, I'm trying not to cuss too much, but... Ew, let me mute the Pledge of Allegiance. Don't need to hear that. Okay. Damn, that was quick. They sped run through the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. You may be seated. Okay. Our next item, can you hear me?
What are they gonna do? There's a bunch of old people wearing veteran hats.
Our next item is a proclamation for Veterans Day, and I'd like to call David Singer, and all the veterans are here with us today.
Oh yeah, you should have gone. They're doing a proclamation for Veterans Day. You should have been there.
Thank you. Thank you. Get some guys on this side. Thank you so much. And really, it's really an honor for me to read this proclamation on Veterans Day, November 11, 2023. Where Veterans Day has its origin, November 11, 1918 armistice, which brought World War I to a conclusion. Whereas the Allied victory of World War I affirmed the strength of a great nations acting together in a high purpose. And where the people of the United States of America caused their elected representatives for designating November 11 as federal legal holiday, which in 1954 became officially known as thereafter as Veterans Day.
That's funny.
Which Veterans Day continues to be celebrated and commemorated with solemn observance in honor of all Americans who have served their country in the armed forces.
Sure there was a veteran. What is it called? The VA?
Become a significant part of the American heritage.
What does the A stand for?
We recognize the millions of citizens with military service.
I think there used to be a VA in Oxnard.
On our history. Whereas the courage, the honor, the sacrifice, the dedication which veterans of the United States Armed Forces have displayed in the cause of justice,
there used to be a veteran,
freedom,
a VA,
democracy,
down Rose.
and the most worthy of recognitions. That's extremely important, ladies and gentlemen. Therefore, I, John C. Zaragoza, Mayor of the City of Oxnard, do hereby proclaim upon all citizens to commend the America's veterans and observe Saturday, November the 11th, 2023 as Veterans Day.
There used to be a VA.
And ask that the day be observed in honor of those who have served
and then it got closed.
To preserve the principles of justice, freedom, and democracy. And this is signed by the mayor of the city of
Damn, that's a
Oxnard
tall ass foot
on the
right there.
7th day of November. And a young man?
Oh, I said I wasn't going to cuss.
Sure. Thank you very much. I would like to thank the city of Oxnard, mayor, council members. As a veteran, I spent about 25 years in the service, and I don't think there's anything more that any service member wants.
Wait, why is my camera? It looks like my camera's
things
on.
he does while he's in the service. And I think the city of Oxnard does a great job with that.
Oh, my camera's
I mean,
off.
with your Veterans Day parade,
But
the ceremony at
why
the park, the Memorial Day ceremonies,
is it
and
on
even this
Zoom?
proclamation today. So I'd like to thank the city of Oxnard for all they do for the veterans, and it is appreciated.
And we'd like to introduce our good veterans.
Yes, this is our commander from the Chapter 24, Charlie Foote, Sergio Garcias,
And
Lou Morris.
Okay, I'll let you
Okay,
guys
whatever, I
go.
guess.
Lou Morris.
Sal.
And I'm Sal Gonzalez with the Military Officers Association.
And I'm Philip Molina, the elected city treasurer.
Thank you so much. And please join us this coming Saturday, 11 o'clock at Plaza Park. And I don't see Manuel Gonzalez here. Where's Manny? Oh, he's ill today. But anyway, please join us to celebrate what these guys have done for our country. It's really, really important for all of us. I'd like to share too that my family has been military for all the way from World War II all the way to just recently where my grandson just got out of the Navy after 4 years, honorably. But thank you again. Sal, you want to share anything else? You're going to be our...
Yes, I'll be the MC at the event, so please come on out, okay? Be there for our veterans, okay? There's nothing better than we want to see than people who are there to express their gratitude for what we have done, okay? Especially some veterans who have done a lot, given a lot, you know, some have given their lives for your right to protest, for your right, all the rights that you have, okay? So thank you. Please come out.
They gave their lives for our right to protest. Wow.
Thank you. I'd also like to share and thank
about the
our
ones that were
committee.
protesting the Vietnam War, which is probably what these fools were out
Luli
here.
Lopez right here on the waving, Luli, and also we have Martha Guillan, my assistant, that really helped tremendously in this project. We'll see you there Saturday. Raise your hand if you're going to be there. Good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let me get my paper ready.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Absolutely. Sal, good job. Absolutely.
Oh, you know what? It worked out because I don't actually have to see the live stream through YouTube because I'm in the actual like Zoom meeting for the city. So I could just keep watching it through here. Okay. Well, it worked out.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And again, you know, our veterans are really, really important to all of us. They keep us safe in this country, and we want to thank them so much for their service. And our next item is item F, and this is items not on the agenda.
All right,
and I have a list here that I'd like to start off with.
First.
We have some call-ins first, and I'd like to start off with Carla Alejandra.
Why am I always
followed
the
by
first
Mark
speaker?
Ross. Excuse me, Trish, followed by Carla Alejandra.
Oh, never mind. I'm the
Trish,
second one
are
today.
you here?
Nah, ya me reconoce del nombre. Ya dijo, oh, first we have Carla Alejandra. Oh, no, my bad. It's Trish. Then ya me reconocen el nombre.
Trish is
ya.
not, but Carla is.
Oh, never mind.
Carla
Trish is not
is,
here.
okay. Is she available or?
Turn that down, please.
Carla,
Turn that down, please.
press
Turn that
star
down,
6
please.
to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Because it's going to echo. I wanted to speak on the relatively new use of these meetings by the Oxnard Police Department. They take time out of the meetings to commend officers, and honestly, it's a waste of time. There is no other job that loves to pat themselves on the back and have other people praise them quite like the police. If time is taken to commend the so-called hard work of retiring cops, then every single other person retiring should also be publicly recognized. What's worse about all of this is most of the cops that have been recognized don't have the best track record. For example, the cop being recognized tonight, David Landsverk, shot a suicidal woman in 2014, and he wasn't even the initial responding officer. Roger Garcia was a responding officer who ignored his sergeant's orders to give the woman space and his partner saying that the woman had a fake gun. He shot at her and missed every shot. But then David came by, didn't bother to assess the situation, and shot her with his rifle. And after she was shot, they still put her in handcuffs. These are the types of cops that you, as city members, are allowing city meeting time to be wasted on. And as such, you are complicit in perpetuating police propaganda. Propaganda that makes it easier for you to feel okay for giving the OPD blank checks for anything and everything, like military equipment. Stop wasting meeting time on these cop commendations, or at the very least, be open in the violence they have done and or have been complicit to. Thanks. Did you like my
So
face?
Trish is not available then?
And you know,
That's
the whole
correct,
time
Mayor.
since
She's
I'm
still
on
not
Zoom,
available.
when I was
Okay, our next
talking,
speaker is Luciano
the
Morales.
image that I have, which is
Luciano.
the Free Palestine, came on.
And he's going to be followed by Jeremy Goldberg. Luciano.
Ay, me
Ladies
la
and gentlemen,
pelan bien
esteemed
pelada
members of
estos
City Council and Honorable
pelados.
Mayor, today I stand before you with a vision.
Okay, my bad.
A
Let me
vision
hear.
that aligns perfectly with Oxnard's unique character and aspirations.
Let me hear what homie has to
Let's
say.
embark on a journey and explore how we can elevate our city to new heights. Oxnard, with its unique charm, community spirit, and rich history, is indeed a hidden gem along the coast. While traffic congestion and parking concerns might not be at the forefront of our challenges, there's always room for growth and innovation.
Wait,
Imagine
traffic
residents and
concerns
visitors
and
of
parking
Oxnard
are at the
enjoying
forefront of our
convenience
challenges.
of
What is homie
efficient,
talking about?
sustainable,
That
and
is literally
accessible
number
transportation
one.
options that seamlessly blend with our city's
But
charm.
my bad. Let him
Visualize
let him
our
cook.
streets bustling with activity,
Let him cook.
not just from cars, but from residents and tourists alike, exploring every corner that our city has to offer. This vision is not just an idea, it's a reality. It's called GoGo. GoGo isn't just about scooters. It's about becoming an integral part of our community. It's about supporting our local business, encouraging people to explore the heart of our city,
Scooters,
and helping us move closer to our goal of sustainability. In a world where environmental consciousness is growing, GoGo aligns perfectly with Oxnard's commitment to preserving our beautiful environment. It's about ensuring clean, fresh air, promoting active transportation, and offering convenient options for those who want to experience Oxnard in a new light. I invite each member of City Council to embrace this transformative opportunity. Let's explore how GoGo can further align with Oxnard's unique character.
Wait, so is this
Already,
like his
we've
company
had
or something
interest
then?
from within the city,
GoGo?
showing
Is
that
he
our
trying to
vision
like
resonates.
sell
However, we understand there are resource
like
concerns.
scooters? Are
and
they
we
trying to
ready
make it
work
like those
collaboratively
scooters
to
in
address these
LA
challenges.
that you rent
Together,
or
we
whatever?
can ensure that GoGo becomes a seamless part of our community, helping us evolve in a way that suits all of our distinctive needs. Let's work together to make Oxnard a shining example of innovation and sustainable practices. Let's harness the spirit of our city to create a unique, vibrant atmosphere that represents Oxnard's essence. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry Goldberg.
And block sidewalks. Yeah. Yeah, that was an issue because I remember being at UCLA.
Mr. Mayor, council members.
Wait, hold on. Let me just see what homie's going to talk
It has recently
about.
been brought to my attention that the city is considering eliminating 5 jobs in the business licensing.
Oh yeah, I don't care what you. Respectfully, I don't care what you have to say.
And I've got a little bit of an issue with that. I just
being at UCLA and down there, they have like these scooters.
You come before.
Oh yeah, it is. Okay, see, Juan looked it up. GoGo Electric. It's like a scooter, electric scooter.
70,000.
So they have something like that down there.
And each
at
of you have
UCLA,
made
and
a
that was
pledge
always such
not
an
to
issue. Like
contract
especially
out
on
city
campus.
services.
People would just drop the
not to
scooters everywhere,
privatize
like
public
literally
services
on
in
the
your capacity
ramps
as
used
elected
for
officials in this city.
students that have
So
wheelchairs.
I mean, it's
They
kind
would
of
just be
that simple,
blocking
like
the
you
ramps.
promised
People would
all
just
of
be
us
like
as
speeding down the
unions, as
campus and
union
stuff
leaders,
like
as
that. But
representatives of the workers, the community,
you know,
and we'll hope you'll follow through
whatever,
with that.
it's fine. I mean,
on a
if these
kind of similar note here,
people
I
want to
sit
try to use that
on
here,
several boards throughout
it's
the
just
county.
the
some
issue with that is like
some of
bigger, you know, because I do think that we
in the
shouldn't be
workforce
so
development
dependent
space.
on cars. I
And
think that public
it's
transportation
interesting because we hear,
should be looked
relatively
or should be
frequently
like
that
funded more.
staff from the city, from the workforce
But at the
development
same
and business
time,
development,
The problem
of the
is that
city
these streets in
or out there in the
Oxnard, you
community,
can't
in the
you
county,
can't even
looking
walk
for
through them.
ways to
You can't walk through
create
them. You
good
can
paying
barely
jobs
drive
in
your
the city.
bicycle down these
And so
streets.
I have a great idea, which is
So
to start with these
unless
5 jobs
we
that are SEIU work in
address
business
the
licensing
issue of the
and start by
streets
saving those jobs.
and their
Thank you.
walkability,
Thank you. Next,
you know, we should do that first. And
hold on a
then
minute, hold on a
we should
minute.
talk about these
No
little
clapping,
electric scooter
please.
companies
This
coming
is really
in and
important,
all
you
of
know,
that
that's
stuff.
important that we have a pros and cons of this thing. So please, no clapping. Next
Who
person
is
is
clapping?
Alex. Adam,
Damn, I
Alex.
missed what homie was talking about.
And he's going to be followed by Mario Navarro.
There's a lot of speakers.
Good evening, and just for the record, the last name is Anand.
No, excuse me.
No worries.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Mayor
right. Too many
Zaragoza,
kids,
members of the council,
and people
city
get hit on
staff.
their bikes. Yeah, that's
My
exactly
name is
right.
Alex Anand. Some of you may know me. I've worked next door at the downtown main library for around
Okay,
6
works
and
at
a
the
half
library.
years. And in that time, I've assisted most of you, not all. I'm also a proud member of our local union, SEIU Chapter 721. And for the past couple of years, I've been first vice chair on the City of Oxnard SEIU chapter board. This is the capacity in which I address you today. I'm here to urge the council to reconsider its proposed plan to outsource our business licensing group. As I'm sure you noticed when the proposal was presented in committee, the projections provided by the contractor are only a net positive when you factor in the payroll cuts from closing the department. Otherwise, there's an $8,700 shortfall from the new plan if you do not take into account those jobs. Instead, we could invest in our city and invest in the hardworking staff in our business and licensing department. Based on the estimates HDL provided, we can meet or exceed the projected revenues with a much smaller investment in our own staff and infrastructure. Our team has run the numbers. We can do this and not at the cost of funneling $4.5 million of taxpayer money to a private out-of-town firm. I'd like to take this opportunity, let's take this opportunity to build a solid base for our city's future, not erode it by handing off vital services to rent-seeking middlemen. Our community depends on this. I'd like to think back to 2019 when this council voted to gut the entire public information office by laying off half a dozen workers. Not long after that, the COVID-19 pandemic hit, and at a time when our community most needed us to provide quick and accurate information on vital city resources, we had just fired the exact people with that skill set. During that time, the community reached out to other departments, including library workers like myself, to get answers. We lost so much vital time that many of our residents did not have to spare. Turning over the business licensing department on the eve of a potential boom in new business development thanks to cannabis permits to a private corporation that has no accountability to the taxpayer, no connection to our community, that siphons substantial profit both from our city budget and the underpayment of their own workers, will lead us into that same black hole. Our residents will have to choose between some call center where an overworked minimum wage employee who doesn't even know where Oxnard is reads off a script at them, or calling another city department and hoping someone knows something useful, all because the team with the expertise to help them has been dismantled. Or with a proper level of funding, for less than what it costs to do this 5-year contract, we can drastically improve services and build up our ability to serve a growing community. We can keep Oxnard jobs in Oxnard with people who care about our city's success. It's cheaper, it's better, and it's the right thing to do. I urge the council to invest in our community and decline the HDL bid. Thank you.
No, please. No clap, please. Don't clap. Thank you so
No
much.
capping.
And as
You heard it.
I said Mario, but it's Maria. Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm trying to understand that public library outsourcing thing.
How's it going, everyone? Good evening, Mayor Sargosa, City
Oh, well,
Council
I
members,
know someone that works at the library. I
My
could
name
just
is
ask
Maria
them.
Navarro. I'm a policy advocate at CAUSE. Today, I stand before you to express our strong support for SEIU Local 721 and to voice our concerns regarding the proposed privatization of the business licensing group in the city of Oxnard, our program.
No
At CAUSE, we firmly believe that public services should be run for the public good. They are a vital part of our community, providing essential services that directly impact the lives of Oxnard residents. When we invest in city jobs, we are investing in our families, our neighborhoods, and our local economy. These jobs keep taxpayer dollars in our community, contributing to its growth and vitality. Privatization, on the other hand, poses a threat to the very essence of what public services stand for. It erodes the quality of family-supporting jobs, creating financial hardships that reverberate through our neighborhoods. It introduces incentives that may not align with the best interests of our community, as public services are managed by private corporations driven by profit for distant shareholders rather than by commitment to serve our local residents. We have seen the consequences of privatization in the past, such as when the city of Oxnard contracted out its waste management services to Republic Services. This led to subpar service quality and low quality jobs. However, when the management was brought back under city control a decade ago, we witnessed improvements in recycling rates, better job opportunities for workers, and substantial cost savings, demonstrating the positive impact of keeping services in-house. Now we find ourselves facing a similar situation with the proposed privatization of the business licensing department. We understand the city's desire for efficiency, but we urge you to consider the broader implications of this decision. The 5 dedicated members of SEIU Local 721 currently in these positions deserve stability and respect for their contributions to our community. Furthermore, contracting out can be considered a union-busting tactic. We should not accept such an environment in Oxnard. We call on the mayor and council to stand against this privatization. Instead, let us invest in our own community, provide more local support, and ensure that our departments are strengthened, not weakened. Together, we can uphold the values that make Oxnard a vibrant and thriving community. Thank you.
Thank you. Lupe Montano. And followed by Michael Hodges.
Is that Lucy back there? That lady back there with the sunglasses on her head. That's wild. Had not seen her in years.
Mayor Zaragoza and council members and city staff. My name is Lupe Montano. I'm a workshop organizer for SEIU 721 and a long-term resident, born and raised here in Oxnard. Many of you know me. I'm here to speak out against the plan to privatize our business licensing department that directly impacts 5 of our SEIU 721 represented employees and city services as a whole. If those positions were to be eliminated by going to a private company, those positions would be lost forever. Even if the contract was suspended after the proposed 5-year term, it would be extremely difficult to refill those positions with workers from our community. That means fewer resources for our community because you would be investing in a for-profit company and eliminating good union jobs.
Usually when it comes to the city of Oxnard, they only do shit with other people from the city.
Employees at the city of Oxnard workers
and
would
people
be
that they know.
Turned up, their lives would be turned upside down, and their schedules may also be completely changed.
Whoever's like doing
over the
this,
past
like
months, the writing has been on the wall, and the city has stopped investing in this department by not replacing those who have left or providing adequate training and resources for our members to be successful. We can turn this around by investing in the department as opposed to paying a lot of money to a private corporation. We're asking you to double down on your workforce and the community, not turn your back on it by siphoning off money to a private corporation. Let's keep good union jobs in the city of Oxnard. Let's invest in our city and bring in some training and best practices for our business licensing department. Just as you allowed outside companies to bid on the business licensing services, ask the current department to put together some figures to show what it can do for our community. With a few more resources, we can do this together. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Michael Hodges. It says Michael's. Apologies.
Good evening. Oh, can you?
Damn, homeboy doesn't know how to read.
I can't read it as a Michelle. I can't read.
Mikhail.
Mikhail. Okay, thank you.
Mikhail.
Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and residents of Oxnard, California. I'm speaking to you again tonight on behalf of the Neuro Rights USA because we value our neurological privacy and safety. We are deeply concerned about potential abuse of new technologies. Our brains are the most private sanctuaries, and they should be protected from any form of intrusion or manipulation. It is crucial that we establish neuro rights laws that cover every American from head to toe in order to
See, that's the
safeguard
thing,
every
though.
American's rights to
I mean, no
neurological
disrespect to this
privacy,
person that's
safety, and
talking right now,
protection.
but like, that's
These
the
laws
thing,
will
though.
set policies,
Like,
procedures, standards, and guidelines
those
that
people,
protect us from
right, with the
potential
union
harm.
and stuff like that,
The
came
importance of
and
these
they
rights cannot
spoke.
be overstated, as they
And
directly
then once
impact our
everyone's
mental
done
health and
speaking, they leave.
overall well-being. In a world where technology
So,
is
like,
advancing rapidly, it becomes
I
even
don't know how
more
to explain it,
critical
but
to
like,
ensure
there's,
that these advancements do not infringe
I
on our
really do
basic
believe
human
that one of the
thoughts
reasons
that
why
normally lead us to our own
more stuff
actions.
doesn't get done in
Without
Oxnard is
neural rights
because
laws,
everyone
we now
is
will leave the
doing their
door
own
open
thing.
for anyone to use
Like,
technology to
everyone out
control the
here is
human
just
mind.
doing their own
But it
thing
is
and
no
focusing on
longer
their own
our
thing, and
actions.
that's it.
It is the activity of the person that
Where
is remotely
if there
connected
was
to our mind, telling us
solidarity
what to
and
do and
like,
say. So will the
you know,
rules
okay,
change
the
to start
union like
arresting the person that's
talking,
controlling
right?
us?
Because, you know, I'm
Questions to ask
I'm
yourself. Do you
inclined
want
to
technology controlling
obviously
you
like
without your
fall in
knowledge?
line with them
Do
and
you
be like,
want it for
okay,
your
of
loved
course, you know,
ones
like,
or for future
you know,
generations?
pro union,
Well, the
whatever.
country of Chile have taken steps to
But
begin
like,
protecting themselves from technology abuse. They've
folks just
added to
come
their
and they speak on
constitution
their
that
own stuff
requires
and then they just leave.
technological development to
And they
respect
don't hear anything
people's
else that's
physical
going
and
on. They
mental
don't hear
integrity.
any like
And it
other
states that the
people
law
that are
will
talking and
especially
all the other
protect human
concerns,
brain
because obviously
activity and
they see
information
that there's a
related
bunch
to
of
it.
other people still
Also, our
like here.
President Biden
You
has
know, maybe
also
they
just
even saw that
issued
there was
the
like a
first
call
executive
to
order on
call in
artificial
and, you know, talk
intelligence.
about
It's the
whatever.
first action of its kind
Like,
requiring
it's just like
neural
there's
safety
no
assessments, equity,
like
and civil
there's no
rights
like
guidance,
cross
and
solidarity, if
research
that
on
makes
AI's
sense.
impact on the labor
And I
market.
think
Neural rights
que
laws
es
serve
lo
as a
que nos
foundation for
chinga,
protecting
honestly.
every
Like,
American's
that
right
really
to
messes us up.
privacy,
Like, if
safety, and
there was
protection
more
against
cross
potential
solidarity between these
technological
people working on
abuses.
this and then these
Please,
people working
Mayor
on that,
and council
and
members of the
then
City
like
of
helping
Oxnard
each other
and County
and
of
supporting
Ventura
each
and the
other and
state of
backing each other
California
up, then
be
oh
the
my
first
God,
in the United States of America
then it would
to
be
enact
different.
neural rights laws.
But,
Thank you.
you know,
Thank you.
there's not.
Okay, Reverend Greg Runyon.
I feel like it's gonna be bullshit. I see this man and I feel like it's gonna be bullshit. I'm sorry.
Man, these are some incredible times, but I think there's some things that need to be talked about, and I hope I say them right. And I just want to say from the gate, I'm not trying to do anything other than just to be honest and talk about some things. As a council, you all have been very vocal about engaging in some national things. We've engaged in abortion. We've engaged in immigration. We've engaged in anti-Asian hate. We're at a time where anti-Semitism is out of hand. And this is not to say that we're in favor of a war, we're in favor of this, we're in favor of that. Most people don't even realize anti-Semitism is against people who speak Hebrew, Aramaic, and Arabic. We have got to move past this idea where hate is okay. And you all have injected yourself into debates that to be silent on this one sends a message I don't think you all believe in. It takes courage sometimes to lead. I can't make a motion. I can't issue a proclamation in your name. I could issue one on behalf of the city of Oxnard, but it would have about as much
Okay, I went
weight
to go
as
get
a
water.
piece of
What did I
paper
miss?
falling from a 747.
What's homie talking about?
But you have an opportunity to lead. It's time people stand up and realize that hate has no place in a modern society. And we are doing it over and over again. We do it because of the way people look. We do it because of the way they talk. We do it because of what they wear. We do it because of their gender, their orientation. And it has to stop. The city of Oxnard is a great city because there's so many different ethnicities here. There's so many different faiths. And on the one hand, maybe it would be enough to just say, we're against any kind of racism. But that means that you're hiding. You didn't hide on these other things. So stand up now. And if issues arise to our Muslim brothers, we're going to stand up and say that's wrong. If they rise up to our Jewish brothers or sisters, we're going to say that's wrong. Our Christian brothers, that's wrong. Because the more we stay silent, the more we say it's okay. So many people wonder why the young people see things the way they do. It's because us adults were silent and we let it go. I'm imploring you to do what's right, not what's convenient, but what's right. And anti-Semitism has to end. Thank you.
He's cooking?
Lucy Cartagena.
I missed it.
Lucy?
I don't know. I don't know if he fully cooked the pasta. I don't know. Maybe he just, put it for 15 minutes.
Buenas noches.
I'm going to have to look back on what he said.
Mayor, City Council members. My name is Lucy Cartagena. I'm a City of Oxnard resident.
Is she going to do another sleep out
myself
event?
A community advocate and a community friend.
Community
I run a
friend.
nonprofit called Families First. We recently did the Halloween event in downtown last week. This is about
Oh, that's who did it, and it was swarming with cops.
Your issue, our issue. Early last year, I spoke up against another so-called and possibly up-and-coming community leader named John Paul Magallanes. He turned out to be a toxic individual.
Okay, wait, no, she's cooking though, because I do know who she's talking about. She's talking about John Paul Magallanes. He's a creep. Like, he's a creep for sure. No, actually, I'm with her on this point.
Removed from the inner neighborhood council, and because of it, blamed me and other community leaders and chair of city commissions. He went as far as to contacting my coworkers, my employment, and even showed up at my place of employment. I have an active restraining order against him and his wife. Why am I telling you this? Because I know that you, Mayor, and some of you council members have and still are being contacted by him and have recently learned that this person is sending pornography to you under names of individuals that have a restraining order against him too.
Wait, am I?
I submitted a records request under the Public Records Act.
Yeah,
and I
that
want to
homie's
know
weird.
who is receiving these
Yeah, she's like actually right.
And from whom.
He's a super weird character, just like creep. He runs this like blog that I've had the misfortune of looking at, and he has literally like AI type
email subscription,
porn,
text,
because I can't say the actual like word.
Sexually, with body
like
parts and perverted,
explicit images, like AI generated images of women, and
I have too many police reports on file.
That's one of the reasons too that I dislike Manuel Herrera so much, because homie will ban me from Citizens for a Better Oxnard. He will ban other, especially like young women of color who speak up against anything and say anything against the city. But like that fool, John Paul Magallanes, is still allowed to be on his page. Like even with like this weirdo behavior that he does and all of this weird stuff that he like posts and says on the internet, and Manuel Herrera still allows that fool to be on that page.
A person who is clearly unstable,
whatever,
has threatened lighter fluid to look for his enemies and state that he does not fear police or jail. Mental health is real. We have people being massacred all the time because of weirdos like that.
Okay, but this is where she loses me, because she's like over here talking about, oh yeah, mental health is real, when like she has directly used like my mental health and like how I have been open with my mental health.
Madam
to,
Clerk,
like,
do any other speakers either virtually
and like
or
basically
in person?
like told me that I should be like locked up in a mental institution.
There's
So,
no
like,
additional speakers virtually or in person.
I agree that John Paul Magallanes is a weird dude who needs to be excluded from a lot of these spaces. But
Mr. City Manager,
Lucy, like, you pick and choose with your mental health shit. Like, you're out here.
And the public and city council receive a city manager discussion.
You're out here being like super sanist and like ableist
compared to other cities in the region. Mr. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So Diego's going to pull up the slides. I have a few quick announcements, then I'll have.
Okay, so the other item that people are going to talk about is going to be K2,
this council meeting. Okay, so it's already
kind
been
of down
mentioned,
the
but I'll
agenda,
repeat it.
so it's going to be a
This
while.
Saturday, there is the annual Veterans Day celebration downtown at Plaza Park. It begins promptly at 11 a.m. Of course, it's open to and free to the public. Next, another reminder about the fire department's grant awarded program to get free smoke detectors out into residents' homes. What you need to do is call the department. The phone number there is 805-982-7282, and they will happily come and install new functioning smoke alarms for you, as many as your home needs. There is another free Del Norte Day drop-off event scheduled for the following Saturday, November 18th. It'll begin at 8 a.m. and conclude at 2 p.m. This will be at the Del Norte Recycling Center. The address for those of you who've not been there is 111, that is 111 South Del Norte Boulevard. And you can bring your various items that you've had sitting around your home or apartment or garage for way too long. And please take advantage of this day and bring it down there and drop it off again for free, instead of dumping it in the street or at the park or behind the alleys. We would appreciate that. All right, so for this week's or this meeting's local government fun fact.
Okay, so let me stop you right there, because that is something that they do a lot, especially the city manager.
Information
they love to use, like they love to put on these events, right? Like that they're going to have
governments just put out recently,
citywide like drop off, so you can drop off your junk and your trash and whatever.
And
the thing
average
they only advertise these events
the rest of the county
through the city council meetings and through their Facebook page.
This is my ongoing effort to reflect.
I'm so sorry, but like ask anybody out here on the street. Like I can walk outside right now
and to be realistic about and be like, hey, do you know about the focus on to
junk or trash
actually make improvements
and they're going to be like,
people's standard of living.
But still, the city uses this as an excuse
educational attainment
for whenever people like us are like, hey,
here is
like go take a look at the apartments like down in South Oxnard, like you know,
so the county average
and how they're just like
just over 38% of the population.
Slumlords
for Oxnard, it's just over 20%.
Don't pay, so you know, don't put down enough money to have adequate trash bins or
by 17.8%.
Get like, you know, with the city to pick up trash or whatever.
Or age demographics, this is
and people out of necessity will go and they will dump trash like in the alleys and like streets and stuff like that. Mostly like mattresses or like
but in Oxnard is only
12.6%. Machines or like stuff like that.
In terms of that age bracket,
they don't have anywhere else to dump this because their trash is already
under the county average, which basically means
and then they don't know about these events. Because the city doesn't bother to like actually invest money
with regard to median household
put out
income.
this information
Again,
more so that more people
this is
are
household.
aware. Or they only have these events like every so often.
$500 annually.
Like they need to have these events if they're really out here like being like, oh, you know, like
we are
come throw your trash here so you don't go and dump it in the streets. Like, okay, well then have this regular then.
As for poverty rate.
Like they want to give
poverty rate is
the Oxnard Police Department so much money.
However, in Oxnard,
they could use that money
12.8%
to have events like this more
and then
often.
For home ownership,
so that people that are out here throwing their mattresses and stuff in the alleys,
65.5%.
Like,
and we in Oxnard
they can have a chance to go and throw all of their trash at these events. But oh no, you know, whatever. Like I guess
the county is $819,000.
Oxnard Police Department really needs like flashbang grenades and like drones and stuff like that. You know
almost
what I mean?
$652,000. So
homie is so annoying.
Look at
I hate homie so much.
Some of this data, and then you sort of go through what does
like,
that mean
this.
in terms
like,
of
what type of fun fact is this? Like, what is he even talking about?
Able to earn based on education and training attainment, the size of the workforce given the age pyramid for the city, the property values, and the income speak to the revenues that we received in terms of our property taxes, as well as what you would presume the disposable income would be for each of these households. And of course, the just the sheer number of percentage of people who are defined as at or below the poverty rate is higher in the city. So That's it for this meeting. I hope this continues to be helpful, again, to reflect realistically and honestly about where we are as a community to help us focus on what we need to do. Okay, so that's it for the local government fun fact. I know I keep saying I'm going to find an actual fun fact eventually, and I will. All right, then finally, one more thing. Last week, I returned to Vietnam. I hadn't been there in 7 years to visit family and a few friends. It was a quick and great visit. One of the side benefits of traveling is to eat delicious food. So I just had to share it. So some of you may have tried a bowl of pho, which is basically the recognized national dish of Vietnam. And I had the opportunity to go with my family to this particular restaurant where they do it a little bit different here. They serve it in a piping hot stone bowl. That bowl is so hot that it keeps the broth boiling for 15 minutes. Diego, can you hit play real quick so people can see this? So it is, I just wanted to share that because it was so delicious. Like upon the first bite.
Honestly, that looks good.
So, Mr. City Manager, is it boiling that way and then they dump it in there? Is that what it is?
Yes,
Oh my
yes,
goodness.
but it stays that hot.
Really? Oh my
I don't
goodness.
think we'd be permitted to serve it like that in this country with OSHA and everything, but the first bite, and I've eaten this my whole life. It was just, it was so amazingly delicious. It like erased instantly all memories of all my exes and just instantaneously. It was extraordinary. It was heavenly. Anyway, I just wanted to share that for fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Thank you.
It's good to be back.
Madam Clerk, any speakers on this item, virtually or in person?
Mayor Zaragoza, there's no public speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Thank you so much. And our next item is item H, and this is where the city council members might have some brief reports that they might want to share with us. And also if they have any items they'd like to place on the agenda. And finally, maybe 3 minutes, and we'll start off with Councilman Tehran.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mhm.
Since our last meeting, I want to thank again all of the neighborhood council chairs from each of the neighborhoods within District 2 who took the time to meet with me, as well as the appointed commissioners from District 2. We met at the library last week, and it was the first time that, at least in District 2, that all of the appointed commissioners and the neighborhood council chairs who were elected by their neighborhoods got together to talk about District 2 specific items, and it was great to get everyone in the room together since I was onboarded in February 2021.
I'm trying to be
know
nice,
that
but
not
this
all
is
of us
that
have ever been in
fool
the same place at the same
that
time.
loves to
And so it was great to
he reminds me
hear
of
about
like
their
those type
vision
of men
and why they volunteer their
that
time to serve
like
the
to
community
think
and
that
the
they're
district.
so like
And we were
you
able
know they
to
use their
chat a little
logic
bit about
and their
some District 2
reasoning
specific
and
items
they
and
discard
brainstorm a couple things. And I
emotions,
shared
so
some news
like
with
they
them as
make
well
really good
of
like
things they can expect to
decisions
see
on stuff,
in
but like
the
he
District
strikes me
2
like those
in the
types.
near future. And I want to thank
And
all
also
of them
I've heard
for
some like
taking their
good
time,
stuff
their
about
evening
him,
coming
but
out. It was
this
great
is the
gatherings,
homie
time
that
well spent.
started out
I also want
being
to
like some type of like
thank
street
the
reporter or
superintendent of
something,
the
or like
Oxnard
he
School
wanted
District
to be,
for
and
holding a
he
meet and
was
greet
doing
just a
stuff
couple
with
weeks ago for
Stay Classy
the
Oxnard
community and
at
for
their
folks to go
height
out and
when
just
they were out here
meet her as the
posting like
interim
photos of
superintendent.
people
And
like
I actually am a
ODing in
parent
public
of
and stuff like that. Like
two
homie was
children who go
involved
to the
with Stay
Oxnard
Classy
School District,
Oxnard
so it
back
was
then,
nice
and I will
to
never forget
be
it, and I
able
will
to
never
connect with
let him
her, some
forget
of the
it,
school
and I
board
will
trustees,
never
as well
let
as other
anybody
community members and
in
community
this
leaders
city
who
forget
attended
that.
the event. On the
When
same
he
night,
wants to
at the
sit up
same
here
location, both of these were in
and
District
act
2, by
all
the
like,
way,
oh, just
the
yeah,
River
I
Park
use
storefront
logic and let's look
had
at
an open
both
house, so I'm
sides
going to
of the
thank them for putting
situation.
that
And
together.
nah, homie, like
It was
you were
nice to
out here
get,
supporting
you know,
and
to get
working for
to
a
talk to
page
folks out
that was
at
posting
the one
photos
with
of
the school
people
district
and then be able to get some
We're
cookies
in
from the
really severely
River Park storefront
going
afterwards.
through really severe medical
And then
conditions.
lastly, I want to thank Casa
out
de
in
Vida,
public.
which is
I'm not going to forget that.
an alcohol and drug
That's
treatment facility.
everything. Like whenever I
and
look at him, that's
program
the only thing that I
based out
see
of
or think
Oxnard.
about.
And
The only
they serve all of Ventura
Like I don't even
County
hear
and
anything
adults
else.
who are seeking treatment for substance use
Oh,
services.
and now look at him talking about
and
substance
looking
abuse
for
and like addiction and stuff
that
like that.
support
Okay,
they
yeah,
need as
brother.
they
Go
transition
talk to the
into
people that you
recovery or
used to work with at Stay
sobriety.
Classy Oxnard
And they
go
had their
talk to them
annual
about that
dinner
shit.
this past Saturday. I was asked to speak at that dinner as someone who is a longtime professional and advocate for those in recovery and those who are challenged
no
by
mas. He's
substance
a
use.
longtime
And as many
advocate
know,
for
I
people in
started my
recovery.
career
Ah,
as
wow.
a substance use counselor for
Wow.
adolescents in
Homie just
Ventura
keeps
County.
getting
So
better and
it's
better.
something I still hold my credentials to this day and still like doing that
And
kind of
he
work.
has credentials
But I
for
was
it.
honored to be able to speak
Wow.
there and hear the stories of the
Wow.
people who are
That's
currently in that
interesting.
program and some of the graduates of
That's
that program.
super
So I want to thank
interesting.
Casa de Vida for the invitation and for putting it together. And
I
those are my
guess
updates, Mayor. Thank you.
anyone can really be anything in this country, huh?
Thank you. Over the last few weeks, I had the pleasure of attending the Rio Lindo neighborhood meeting. There was many issues concerning speed bumps and general traffic issues in the neighborhood. It was very well attended, a very passionate group. And just tomorrow is the Rose Park neighborhood meeting. And unfortunately, I won't be able to make it, but I know that it is always very well attended, and I know they're getting ready for their Posadas event in December. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Pasua, Councilwoman.
We got no comments.
Good. No? Okay. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now that we're finally through the worst of COVID and hopefully forever through the worst of COVID, most of my groups are starting to meet back in public again or in-person meetings. And we're playing catch up. I sit on a variety of boards. LoSan, which is the regional
This
rail
homeboy
authority
has been
for
on the
Amtrak
city
Pacific
council for
Surfliner.
like I think the past
From San Diego to San Luis
13
Obispo, we are
years.
back to meeting in
Probably
person.
more.
On that meeting,
And I
anywhere
remember
from
back
San
when
Diego to San
we were
Luis
in
Obispo,
Tolpolet and
places
we
in
were
between. So
out here talking about
gonna be a
like
little bit of
especially
traveling.
when
Ventura
the
County
murders of Alfonso
Transportation
Limon
Commission.
and Robert Ramirez happened and
We will
Megan
be
Hockaday
moving
and stuff
from
like that.
Camarillo City Hall to the
We're
Camarillo
up there. We
Library.
would go to city council.
As the
That's
city
where I
of
started
Camarillo is
talking on
apparently
city
going to
council
rebuild their
actually.
whole
And
city hall, or at least their council chambers.
homie used to work for the
Gold Coast
cops.
Transit District,
I forget like
Oxnard
how,
Detention
but in
and
some
Visitors
capacity he
Bureau,
was working for
Economic
OPD.
Development
And
Corporation of
he's
Ventura
always been
County
like
are all
a
meeting back
super
in person
staunch
again.
supporter of
And I also
cops
had
and
the
anything that has to
opportunity
do
to
with
work
cops. And
with,
I remember that
although
he
I'm
was
not
like
on the
one of the
airport
ones that
authority,
when we were
I
up
did
there
work
like
with them in
asking
a
for
sound study as my house is in
honestly
the approach
honestly
zone for
I
Oxnard
was like
Airport.
way tamer back
And
then,
there's
right?
been a
Like I
couple
was all
monitoring
for like
sessions in my backyard.
asking for like
Hopefully
a
they didn't hear
civilian
me screaming at the dog too
committee
much,
like
but
oversight that would like
it's been an interesting experience.
I guess look over
Mr. City Manager,
any
your
kind of
meal
like
looked delicious. I
mishandlings of the
found a
cops and
couple
stuff like
Stonewall
that. And we were
places
asking
here,
for just like
not Vietnamese, but there is one called Sura
just
out in the
really
harbor, which
like
is
low
Korean
key
food.
things. And
Excellent. And there's also
he would be
Moqueca
such a hater.
across the harbor on the other side, which is
Like
Brazilian
this food would be
Stonewall.
such a hater. And now look
And if
at
you've
him.
never had any Stonewall
Aged
food,
like fine
I
milk.
would encourage you to try it. It's very interesting. And there's one on the Korean side called bibimbap, where they bring you stone bowl food, and then you drop a raw egg into it, and it cooks in the bowl before you eat it, and it's absolutely delicious. So I would encourage you to if you haven't ever experienced it, get out in the world a little bit and try something unique and different. So,
why don't you try not
Thank
being
you,
a
Councilman
bootlicker?
Pirillo.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all the public speakers that spoke tonight.
Oh my
first.
God.
I have
Another one. Bert Perello.
I have an apology
oh my
to make
God,
to
my
Mr. Emilio Ramirez.
favorite. Another homie
I attended the
that we used to go
groundbreaking
talk
for the
and
Dolores
especially
Huerta,
when we would talk about
very
immigration, we were
historic,
talking about like
living
making Oxnard
cultural
a
history to
sanctuary
the
city.
Hispanic
Like,
and
he
labor
was,
movement.
oof,
And it was a Cabrillo
supreme
development.
hater of the
But
universe. up here.
Mr. Ramirez was instrumental in making it happen. And he wasn't even acknowledged by the electeds there, the organization, or anything. A tremendous slight. I should have stood up and made a scene, but I figured it would be worse if I did that. Mr. Ramirez, my hat's off to you. It took a lot. And I hope
What
that
is he
those,
talking about?
especially the cities outside that came and poached on our turf, and in my opinion, And the people that are going to benefit from that, I hope they remember it.
This is the
Because
homie
there's
I
a lot
think
of people that
that
stand on the shoulders of others and
I
take
think
all the
last week I was
credit.
watching one of the meetings and they were
And
talking
it's people
about
like Mr. Ramirez that are doing the work
new
and his
trucks
staff.
for I think
He
like
doesn't do it
the
himself. He's got a
folks that work
staff.
with like
The second,
I'm not even gonna try
I'd
like
like
what,
to,
something to do with the city, and
publicly
he
thank
was essentially
Mr.
saying
Eden
like,
Ramirez.
"Oh, do they
Her
really
staff
need
and business
ACs in their
licenses
trucks?"
found through the diligent work of her and the direction of her and the
Like just saying how
people
they
that
could
work
like
for the
roll
city
down the window.
found that the city was owed money by Amazon, $500,000.
This is who has been
Hats off to them.
a city council member for
Hats
the
off to
past
the fire
like
chief,
12 plus years.
Alexander
like,
Hamilton.
these type of people. Right here.
Informed us through the city manager what has transpired with respect to the ambulance service in the city of Oxnard, where we were slighted. And now they're taking issues at the state. Thank you very much, Mr. Hamilton, Chief. There's a lot of residents that have no idea what you do, and they look at it as, well, public safety, they get paid well. Public safety is the one that take care of you. And with that, I'd like to make a comment about one particular speaker that talked about the police department.
Me, that was me. That was me. I did.
Just ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time we've had a pretty good crowd, and I'm grateful as a council member.
Oh,
I don't know if you know the
you're
person
in for a
sitting to the
surprise,
left of
buddy,
you,
because that
or
crowd
to
that's
the
in
right
there.
of you, or in front of you, or in back of you. But if something terrible was happening to them, who would you call?
Not the
Me?
police.
One of the other 7 up here? I think not. You'd call a cop.
Nope.
And you'd expect a cop to straighten it out. I see head shaking. Lady, I hope you don't ever have to face that.
Okay.
I hope you don't ever have to face that, ma'am.
Please,
And with that,
please address the chair.
and
Please.
with that, they're the ones that are supposed to go out and
Who's
find the
causing
parties that are
ruckus in there?
responsible for doing harm
I want
to
to
any
see
of
who's
us.
causing ruckus in there.
I'd also like to say that I attended the VCOG meeting, which was the government issue. I did attend the storefront. I did attend the introduction of the new superintendent of the Oxnard School District. I did find it funny that the Oxnard School District held an event in the real school district. I mean, I kind of slight the people that pay property tax for the Oxnard School District when they
Damn,
don't
this
even
fool
get
has
a
another
benefit
thing
of the
coming. He thinks
expenditure
I'm
of the Oxnard School District's
little does he
funds.
know that I'm
But
about
that's
to
just
talk
me.
for a second time, brother, and
I
I'm
was also
watching and I
able to
just
attend
heard
the
everything
Clean
you
Power
just said.
Alliance. A contract was signed.
Wow.
And that contract has to
Me
do
la
with wind
pediste,
power.
huh?
It's the largest power
That's funny,
generator
brother.
in the
You got
United
another
States,
thing coming
bigger than
because
Hoover
the thing
Dam.
that I wrote is
And
only
this
going to
Clean
take
Power
me about
Alliance,
like
people
a
are
minute and a
providing
half
you
to
at the
read.
base,
So
the
I'm going to
direction
have
of your
a
elected
whole
officials.
other
Clean
minute and
Power versus Edison.
some seconds to
17%
rip
of
you a
that
new
is
one,
going
brother.
to the Clean Power Group.
So thank you for that.
And I want to thank Councilman Madrigal for addressing the Rose Park. One of the main speaker at the Rose Park
Let
will
me
be
see.
the Mexican Council.
Let me see.
And the Rose Park meeting is from 7 to 8:30. 220 Driscoll Street. Should be a very good meeting. Question and answer if you have. There's also a and that's tomorrow night. There's also a Blackstock North, Blackstock South meeting Thursday, 6 o'clock, Blackstock Junior High. There's another meeting, Pleasant Valley Estates, Thursday, the 9th.
Because I remember what he used to say,
6:30,
but
Hathaway.
let's see if there's anything on here.
Elementary School, 405 East Dolly Street. There's a East Village meeting, Rio Rosales Elementary School, Monday the 13th, 6:30 to 7:30. 1001 Koala. There's another meeting on Redwood
There's
Neighborhood
nothing- of
Council on
course, there's
Thursday the
nothing, like,
16th, 6
in
o'clock.
writing.
Our Savior Evangelical Lutheran Church.
But homie
905
was
Redwood.
always against anything that
There's
way.
another
Anytime that we
Mar
talked
Vista
against the police,
Neighborhood Council meeting on
homie was
Thursday the
like,
16th at the Mar Vista Elementary School. Library, 2382 Edding Road. And also tomorrow night, there's an INCO council meeting here in
you're
this
seeing
building,
in
6
real time
o'clock.
how I do my
All the neighborhood council chairs, and the people that are unaware, if they're in a neighborhood council chair, they can find things out. But last, I'd like to address Runyon, Reverend Pastor Runyon. He's absolutely right. We should say something. We should have said something for the Pacific Islanders and Asians that were beat up and murdered. We should say something for the Palestinians that are beat up and murdered. The blacks, the whites, the this and
Oh
the
my
that.
God.
We
You
should
mean
say
black
something
people?
to designate one group.
I mean, you get a little bit of brownie points
is
because you said,
significant.
you know,
I have
speak up
no
for
idea if the
Palestinian.
council would do that, but I think Mr. Runyon's idea is either an item worth exploring. And finally, there are certain residents in the city that demand services, and they deserve those services, but they don't deserve more than any other citizens and residents in the city, whether they're in the north end, the south, east, or the west.
Yeah, see, Bert
The
Perella
area
has
that I
been there since
represent
November
has
2012.
a preponderance of people that ask for services.
What, 13,
And
11
some of
years?
them
I don't know, I
ask for
can't
way
count.
more, in my opinion, than they're entitled to. I believe in share and share alike. I shouldn't get any more service from my residents than any other council member up here. I got on this council when I represented the entire city. Now I have a district. It works out that way. I enjoy that. But people have to realize there's a
One thing
limited
about him, he
pot.
loves to talk to.
And if you have a cake, and it's a better example, a pizza, cut up into 16 pieces, and you invite 22 people to your party with 16 pieces of pizza, how are you going to handle those 4 extra people? That's the situation the city handles with the limited purse that it has and the obligations that some of these same residents that raised Cain never said a thing when those obligations were generated decades ago. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Arthur Valenzuela.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Councilman Perella took some of my comments. So this Thursday,
Councilman
6:30
Perella
p.m.
took some comments.
At Blackstock Junior High, Blackstock North and
That's what
South
it
will be
sounded like
meeting
he said.
at the junior high, and then on Thursday, November 16th at 6 p.m., the Redwood Council will be meeting at the Lutheran Church on Redwood Street. Last
that's
week,
by my
or
house
2 weeks
or
ago,
my
I had an
parents'
opportunity to meet
house.
with some leaders from Cause, dealing with their
church.
adult committee and how we can work to improving South Oxnard moving forward. And something I attended, I think 2 Sundays ago, was an event hosted by PSL Ventura regarding some of the conflict right now taking place in Israel and Gaza.
Okay, homie, trying to like say he was there with PSL.
You know, Hamas is not a representative for the Palestinian people, and the Israeli army is not
this
a
is why
representative
like some
for the
people
Jewish
like
people. So as my role, I'm asking
some people
our
like
representatives
you know
for a
you can call for
ceasefire or
events
at
and you
least
can do
a
events and some
humanitarian
people will
pause.
show
I
up
hope
just
this
so
would
that
come
they can
forth
say
with
that
a
they were there
multilateral
and tell
United
other
Nations
people that they
approach.
were there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you
Also
gotta
wanna share
be
that-
real careful. You know what I mean? But anyway, I won't say too much.
Look, you know, if you continue this, you're gonna have to leave the
Damn, who is
this chamber here. Please,
what is
please respect
who is
the
doing
rest of the folks that are
ruckus?
here. Thank you so much. I just want to share that I also attended quite a few events, and one of the important events that I attended was
I want to know
Casa de
who's over
Vida's
here causing all of this mother.
18th annual anniversary. Casa de Vida is a rehab and alcohol program for many numerous men and women here in the city of Oxnard.
You know what's interesting about this homie?
And they help them return
John
to
Zaragoza. He's
normal
also been like
lives,
a city
a
person.
normal lifestyle for the people. And I really want to
Since
thank
I
Casa
was
de Vida
probably a
for the
baby,
work that they're
honestly.
doing. They
And
help
it's
clean
interesting
our
because
alleys,
you
they
know
help clean our
I work at a
streets,
daycare, whatever,
remove
and
trees,
like
and really
I was
help out
talking
with the
with,
community. And they have done an excellent job for
someone who I
some
work
of the
with
folks that are going through rehab.
who has
And
always
also,
like
I
really
just
been
want
involved
to
in like
say
the
that they have
daycare,
helped Marvin Booz.
like
How many
stuff
people
around
know
here,
Marvin
like other
Booz? He
daycare
cleans our
workers
city.
and stuff.
And Mr.
And they were telling me how
Michael
back in the
Mercurio.
day,
They're out there helping
there
every
was kind
single
of
day,
like
and I
because
really
there were
appreciate
even
that. In
more
fact, they're going to
restrictions
help
on
us with the
daycares
Veterans
and like
Memorial.
the size of
And I also
daycares
want
and
to
how
thank
many
our
daycares
council
could be
member
like at
Tehran
any
for an
given like
excellent. He was the
area or
keynote
whatever.
speaker
And
there
there's still some
Saturday
restrictions like that
for
to
an
this day.
excellent job that he did
But there were
in
more
supporting
even more back
Casa
then.
de Vida and all
And
the
they were
folks
telling me
there
how they would
that are
go
really
and
good. They're
there was actually a period of time
drug
where
and
they went to city
alcohol
council and they
rehab
were talking and they
positions,
were
and I
kind of
really commend them for the work
saying,
that
hey,
they're doing.
we need to have more
Thank you.
daycares. You need to loosen the restrictions. Like
Okay,
there's
our next item is
because
the item.
you can either
This
have like
is
a
the
big license
review
or a
of the
small
consent
license, right? And like the small license, you can
items,
only have
and
like
we
certain
have
number of
1
kids.
to
Bigger
8
license, you can have more
items.
kids.
And council
But
members,
again,
I
there's like
have
restrictions to it.
several items that
And
excuse
they
me,
were
speakers
telling
that
me
like to
how
speak on
John Zaragoza
item
was
K2,
one of the
and I'd like
people
to
that
start
were
off with that under consent,
supremely against
and then
it.
we'll go into
And
our council
that
members.
basically
Okay, you mean like in pulling
he
it?
told them in that meeting
We're
that
pulling number 2?
he didn't want to live next
Yeah,
to a daycare
well,
because he
well,
didn't want to deal with all that
people want
noise.
to talk on number 2,
Like
so
he
we'll
didn't
start
want to
off with
deal with
number
like,
2.
kids
thank
or
you.
whatever.
Thank you.
So
Okay, and we'll start off
like
with
these
some
are
of the
the type
speakers
of people
that
that
spoke,
have
you know. So
been
the first person that we
involved in
have
the
is
city for
Mark Ross,
decades.
followed by Isabel Payne. Mark
Like
Ross,
that's just who they are.
is
Like
he
these
on
are these type of
virtual or
people
here?
making
Yes, Mark Ross is virtually.
decisions for all of
Mark,
us that live
please
here.
press star 6 to unmute. unmute and you have 3 minutes.
Oh, I just wanted to thank the council, the planning commission, the planning department,
Homie,
and
turn
the
your background thing
council
off.
for their
There's an echo.
support of these projects. We're providing 376 affordable senior housing units. And I'm here if there's any questions, but I just want to thank everyone for their support for the project.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you for that riveting
So our next speaker here for K2 is Isabel Payne, followed by Valeria Rendez. Isabel Payne, is she virtual or here?
Wait, is this the item already?
Isabel, please press *6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Wait. Isabel? Hello?
Isabel, please unmute yourself.
You know, it's so complicated. That's why I like to go on Zoom, because it's a little bit easier. But if you call through the phone, like, you have to press like *6 or something like that and then start talking. People
Hi,
have
can
so
you
much
hear me?
trouble. Okay, there we go.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, council members. My name is Isabel Payne. I've lived in Ventura County for 25 years now and currently work in Oxnard at a community mental health center. I'm here to speak against agenda item K2, wherein the Oxnard Police Department is seeking approval
it is
of
that.
the
Oh my
purchase of
God.
military
This is what I'm gonna
equipment. In my professional experience, I work with young adults between the ages of 16 to 25 years old, most of them in which live here in Oxnard and then the greater county. These young adults experience severe mental illness, and some of the other things that they struggle with include homelessness, lack of access to transportation, basic needs like water or hygiene, education, and pretty much most basic necessities. This in turn impacts their mental health, but I also witness the impact that the police department here in Oxnard has had on some of these clients. And some of the interactions that I've had with the police department where I'm called to a crisis with clients, the police will often come late. And when they get there, they may stand outside, kind of assess the situation, and then they say that they can't do anything because the only solution would be to shoot my clients. And as you might recall, I say I work with clients who have severe mental illness, in which I believe this is a very inappropriate response. I believe the money that would be or is being proposed to be funded for the Oxnard Police Department could go to greater uses, such as improving poverty rates, homelessness, job security, and transportation for young adults, as well as just the community here in Oxnard. I love Ventura County. I love where I live, and I want to continue helping my clients and see that they have hope in their livelihood as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Valeria Rendez. Is that virtual or is she here?
They're so nice when they
Valeria?
talk.
She's virtually.
Okay.
Valeria, please press *6 to unmute, and you have
All right,
3
Valeria,
minutes.
what are you gonna talk about, Valeria?
Hello, greetings, Oxnard City Council. My name is Valeria Resendez, she, her, and I've lived in Oxnard since 1999. As someone who's been considered an Oxnard success story by today's fun fact, by the fact that I was Wainimi High School salutatorian and a Ventura County Star Scholar in 2016, and I graduated from the University of Southern California with a degree in political science, non-governmental organizations, and education, I hereby express my strong dissent for agenda item K2, the purchase and use of military equipment by my city's police department systemically cannot make Oxnard any safer. And I say this grounded in appreciation for all life forms. I express my dissent with consciousness that the OPD has had supportive relationships with the State of Israel and their national police and defense forces. I speak knowing that Israel structurally imposes a criminal apartheid regime against Palestinians, which countless human rights groups, Jewish organizations, and the United Nations have condemned. I'm here today highly angered that part of my city's crime-stopping strategy has been to receive training and inspiration from international crime committers. Witnessing the power that advanced military equipment has had in the context of the Palestinian genocide, I'm here today redirecting my city's funding away from continued militant violence. Vote no on Section K, Item 2. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Brian Rodriguez. Is it virtual or is it here?
Brian is virtual.
Okay.
Brian, please press *6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, could you hear me?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. I would like to also speak on item K2, and I want to start off by reading part of AB 481, Section 1, subsection A. Quote, the acquisition of military equipment and its deployment in our communities adversely impacts, excuse me, I'll start over. Quote, the acquisition of military equipment and its deployment in our communities adversely impacts the public safety and welfare, including increased risk of civilian deaths, significant risk to civil rights, civil liberties, and physical and psychological well-being, and incurment of significant financial cost. Military equipment is more frequently deployed in low-income Black and Brown communities, meaning the risks and impacts of police militarization are experienced most acutely in marginalized communities, end quote. Now, that wasn't from Antifa. That wasn't from any fringe left-wing group. That was the law. That was the California state legislature and signed by the governor. And I actually think the state legislature did a good job in this bill, and kind of acknowledging the disproportionate use of military equipment in communities like ours. And, you know, I would respectfully request that this county not move forward with item K2. I would disrespectfully request that, but okay, the militarization military equipment report came to the council before. We fly our drones more than the city of Santa Clarita and the city of San Diego. And quite frankly, I do take issue with that. I do take umbrage with that. And I don't know how many of you watched the State of the County, but according to the State of the County that just happened the other day, we are the largest, safest county in California. We are an incredibly safe community. And so I don't think there is a need to militarize our police. And now you may quibble at, you know, the term military equipment, but the fact is that the law defines these items as military equipment. And so you could talk to our local representatives to try and get that change, but the fact remains that that won't happen. The state legislature has stood firm on this issue and, you know, has acknowledged, you know, the disproportionate impact of these items on, you know, communities of color. And so, you know,
30 seconds.
Not continue to militarize our police. And so, again, I respectfully request that you do not move forward with this item. And it also didn't even go through committee. And so, again, please don't move forward with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Carla Alejandra. Is she virtual or here?
Carla is virtual. Carla, please press *6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Clean, working public bathrooms. Proper bus stops with shade. Planting trees along school routes to provide shade for students on hot days. Updating bike lanes to be safer. Fixing the heavily potholed alleys in South Oxnard. More public events for kids and teens. All of these are only some of the hundreds of options for the city of Oxnard to invest money in, but you don't. Instead, you authorize millions of dollars for the public police budget. Last year, Police Chief Benitez made a total of $415,368 in total pay and benefits. On average, regular cops working for OPD receive around $200,000 in total pay and benefits per year. There are hardworking people who make this city run who will never see yearly pay like that in their lives. OPD does not need money, and especially not money for military equipment. You do not need to allow this. You need to invest in what the people of Oxnard need. Year after year, and some of you have been up there for several years, you keep investing in the militarization of Oxnard. When these cops harass, brutalize, and kill people in Oxnard, it's on all of you. Because you are giving them the tools of violence and paying them hundreds of thousands of dollars for it. Every homeless person living in the streets, every child who never gets to see their parent because they need to work themselves to the bone because rent is so high, you did that. Every single one of you. Because you would rather sit here and commend cops who shoot and brutalize people and continue to give them money to keep doing it instead of doing your job and looking out for the people you serve. And regarding Bert Perello's comment earlier, no, I would not call cops when something happens to me. Go talk to people who actually call cops when something happens and let them tell you that if they show up, it's hours later. And let me tell you that I remember you, Perello, when we would speak in regards to Alfonso Limon and Megan Hockaday and Robert Ramirez. And I remember the things that you said and that you told us back when we would speak. So I know exactly who you are and the type of person that you are.
Our next speaker is, are you done, Carla? Okay, the next speaker is Hosa.
Mayor Zaragoza, Josh is currently not available virtually or in person.
Okay, then we go with Davina Garcia.
I almost cussed that fool out.
Davina, please press *6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello. My name is Davina Garcia, and I was born and raised in Oxnard. I am speaking today on K2 of the agenda, the Oxnard Police Department's military equipment purchase of unmanned aerial vehicles and light sound diversionary devices, more commonly known as drones and flashbangs. The purpose of this agenda item is to seek approval from the city to, quote, replenish and replace previously city-approved military equipment. I would like to reiterate that the city of Oxnard has already approved of the OPD's use of military equipment in the past and has been directly involved in the militarization of the police in this city. This is also occurring at a time when the U.S. is funding a genocide in Palestine by providing billions of dollars to the Israeli military to kill innocent civilians. From Oxnard to Palestine, military force and military tactics are being approved and overfunded by our public officials to kill, harass, monitor, and harm innocent civilians. The use of military equipment by local law enforcement on unarmed civilians is a testament of the city's and the police department's attempt at menacing the same public that they swear to serve and protect. The use of drones by law enforcement contributes to a global increase of surveillance where the public's privacy is compromised and our daily activities are being monitored. Though the OPD claims these drones are not used for patrols or surveillance activities, the data captured by these drones is subject to being processed by artificial intelligence technology that has a history of being racist and discriminatory by design. This increase in surveillance technology within the Oxnard Police Department is normalized through the guise of protecting the safety of the public. But let me just say, none of this feels normal. Have you ever felt like you're being watched? It's because you probably are. If you're questioning the increase in the surveillance state within Oxnard, please realize that in the past 7 years, OPD has been approved to purchase and utilize body-worn cameras, facial recognition technology, an increase in street cameras, license plate recognition technology, and drones. Approving this agenda item will be continuing the militarization of the Oxnard Police Department and will contribute to the increased surveillance of people in Oxnard. End the militarization of the Oxnard Police Department, defund the police, and invest back into the community. I oppose agenda item K2 and urge the City Council to reject this proposal. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Crimina. Is she virtually or here?
She's virtual. Carmina, please press *6 to unmute, and you have 3 minutes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Carmina. I'm here to speak against agenda item K2, where Oxnard Police Department is seeking the approval of the purchase of military equipment. Instead of resorting to buying more military equipment, money can be better spent on de-escalation techniques, our school and education for our youth, into our libraries, and into community welfare. Buying more military equipment will put people with disabilities in danger, our houseless neighbors in danger, people with mental crises at risk, our Black and brown neighbors in danger, and the U.S. government is sending billions of dollars a year to Israel to fund the genocide of Palestinians. Military violence the U.S. funds and supports needs to be defunded from Palestine to the streets of Oxnard. More military equipment means more harm and is an abuse of power. Shame on you, Oxnard police. Our neighborhoods are not battlegrounds. If you need military-grade equipment for unarmed civilians, shame on you, you're a coward. There is no safety found through violence. Abolish the police and surveillance state. We will never forget Alfonso Limon, Megan Hockaday, Adam Barcenas, Christian Balthazar, and Michael Owens. Say their names. And to refer to someone earlier, a common response to defunding the police is, who are you going to call? First, I'll call my neighbor, and then I'll call my other neighbor, and then I'll call my other neighbor. They are going to be quicker than any police department, and community-based alternatives exist. And also, referring to someone earlier who referred to Black people as Blacks, let me remind you how that has racist implications and is very dehumanizing. It's Black people. People first. Language matters. And no to funding military equipment that has the potential of harming our families, friends, and our neighbors. I strongly oppose Agenda K2. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Naomi.
So Naomi is currently not. Oh, sorry, she's
Naomi.
here.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. My name is Noemi Tungui, and my family and I have lived in Oxnard since the early 90s. I'd like to first start by giving a shout out to SEIU workers. I'm a former community mental health worker, SEIU. I wish I could say good evening, but it's devastating and it's a painful evening. We're witnessing a genocide committed by the Israeli government on our Palestinian community members and are left feeling helpless. All the while, our local city council brings forth a recommendation to, quote, approve the police department's purchase and use of small unmanned aerial vehicles and light sound diversionary devices, which are defined by California government code as military equipment. It's troubling to find that the Oxnard Police Department and Ventura County Sheriff's Department have traveled in the past to Israel in recent years to meet with Israeli National Police and Israel Defense Forces to receive training on, quote, terrorism, border and airport security, maintaining safety and access to holy sites, the role of advanced technology in policing and use of media during a crisis. Yet it's so ironic, so hypocritical, and extremely troubling given that Israel is committing a full-on genocide today and has been for decades. We see Oxnard and Israel's relationship through the current militancy in our communities, excessive force, and even death of beloved community members named here today and named over and over throughout the years. I know it from experience as well as a former caseworker at a recuperative homeless shelter here in Ventura County, where my clients were former veterans who you supposedly honored today through words but not actions. I also currently work as helping domestic violence victims through my cup. And today, a lot of my colleagues were at the Truth Act Forum at the Ventura County Board of Supervisors meeting to tell the Ventura County sheriffs to stop voluntarily working with ICE. As you know, it's really upsetting. So instead of receiving training from those committing genocide abroad, further traumatizing unhoused community and separating our families, reject this recommendation and put funds to actually protect our communities. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Thea Ramirez, followed by Leo Martinez. Thea Ramirez.
Wait, Leo's gonna talk? Oh my God, I didn't know Leo was gonna be there.
My name is Talia Ramirez. I have never been to something like this, and I am clearly very uncomfortable doing it. I really don't know where to start with all this. I just kind of think it's really unnecessary that I even felt compelled to come to something like this. I think it's clear that there is atrocities happening to our Palestinian brothers and sisters by the Israeli government, and it's just as upsetting as our last speaker just said, that we watch it happen, unfold in front of us, and that while watching it happen, we still have this proposition up to provide military grade equipment to our local police when you passed out this flyer for our veterans, right? So why can't we put that money into our veteran programs? Why can't we put that money into our unhoused people? There's an unhoused man by that parking lot. Do you guys know? He's sitting out there with blankets. He's cold. I find it devastating, and it makes no sense to me for us to have flyers like this and to have our people literally outside while it's so cold. Well, we could put all that money there instead. And I'm sure you're gonna be fucking tired of hearing this all night, and that's fine, and I accept that. I just want you to think about it a little more when we have our own people right here who are suffering. We don't need to provide for weapons. It just doesn't make any sense if we're supposed to be one of the safest counties, right? We're supposed to be one of the safest cities. Why do we need weapons? We're fine. But you know what we're lacking in? We're lacking in mental health. We're lacking in housing. We're lacking in our schools. And that makes no sense to me.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Leo Martinez, followed by Jacob Travers. Leo Martinez.
Oh my God, it's Leo.
It's been a while, but as usual, I'm here to complain about you guys giving more money to cops. In this particular case, the caucasity to think that it would be even right to propose buying military-grade equipment with the current situation that's happening, when you guys can't even manage the budget that it is now. Like, you guys are talking about privatizing the permitting department. There's no paper towels in the bathroom, and my hands were wet the 3 times I went because the electric dryer doesn't work, but we're going to buy more military equipment. Like, and it doesn't, I get that it's tempting to thumb through the catalogs. Maybe white phosphorus is on sale. I don't know what you guys are trying to eyeball here. But I remember specifically when Alfonso Limon got shot. I remember the battles that we had to go through to get you guys to be somewhat okay with body cams. And fast forward now, I get to watch murder in 4K when a police officer shot at Michael Owens. That it's not even about getting police more training, because clearly that hasn't worked. Carla was talking earlier about Megan Hockaday. I remember Roger Garcia, the officer that shot Megan Hockaday, within 20 seconds of showing up at her apartment, was certified in all kinds of things that you guys wanted in conflict resolution and all these other things. That went right out the door. It's ridiculous. It's not about more training. I mean, it's absurd that we even have to have these discussions when, like millions of speakers before me have said over the years, there's a bunch of other issues going on. And arming more military grade equipment to upgrade their little Bobcat tank, to get another tank? Not even, maybe more production value on the next shooting when Officer Benitez is over there telling us for 5 minutes how body cams work, as if we didn't know. Like, it's not more training. It's not, there's a million other answers out here, and you guys insist on trying to get more and more money to the cops when they already get more money than everybody else in the county. That's it.
That's my friend.
Okay. Jacob Travers.
That's my friend right there.
Jacob.
Hello, my name is Jacob Travers, and I'm a lifelong resident of Oxnard. I'm here today to speak against Agenda Item K2, wherein the Oxnard Police Department seeks approval to purchase more military equipment. It is easy to see and common knowledge that our community needs money for jobs, education, housing, infrastructure, and these are obvious necessities in our community. It does not take any sort of expert study or consultancy to come to this simple reality we see every day. Yet we are here genuinely considering whether we should spend more of our hard-earned and limited taxes on even more unnecessary military equipment for the police. I would like to reiterate, as others have made clear, we do not want to spend our money on militarizing our community. This does not help us. Every day, people in Oxnard are struggling with rising costs of living. We are told we don't have enough money for common sense necessities. Parks and public bathrooms are closing. Our schools are underfunded. Public transit is unreliable. Our roads and infrastructure are failing and dangerous. And working people are being kicked out of their homes and neighborhoods as rents continue to rise. Much of the Oxnard working class lives paycheck to paycheck and are an accident away from losing their jobs or housing. My partner has seen this firsthand with 3 coworkers she helped hire in the last 3 months. Each of these 3 social workers in our community lost their cars for various reasons. Each of them tried to continue their jobs riding bikes in transit to the homes of families they serve. Each of them had to look for new jobs because our roads and transit were not safe or efficient enough to serve them even temporarily. This is just one of the many ways of our community. This is just one of the many ways members of our community are at risk. Yet rather than use our hard-earned tax dollars to fight simple and obvious risks, our government uses our taxes to send billions every year funding the genocide of Palestinians. And we are spending billions every year so companies can profit off the militarization and degradation of our own communities. Voting to further fund the Oxnard Police Department to purchase military equipment is in direct opposition of what we know we need to do to help our community. This further equips OPD to increase the surveillance and harassment they enact in our community. This military violence needs to be defunded from Palestine to the streets of Oxnard. It's time we start spending our resources on actually helping people instead of spending to destroy people. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Leah, I can't read the last name, Leah, because, and then followed by Hannah. Leah.
My name is Leah Damhoseni. I am an Arab Muslim, and I am a longtime resident of Ventura County. I am here tonight with the Party for Socialism and Liberation, fellow anti-war activists, and tenant organizers to defiantly speak out against Agenda Item K2 and the efforts of the Oxnard Police to further militarize their already brutal and violent police force. For the past 30 days, we have watched US politicians drum up their genocidal, dehumanizing rhetoric against Muslims and Arabs. We have watched Ventura County leaders either be completely silent on US-driven genocide or even watch as our electeds call for the continued carpet bombing of Gaza, where the death count stands at 10,000. We hear your silence every day, City Council electeds. We hear your deafening silence on US funding genocide. As international working people, as people living in the diaspora because we were displaced due to US's cynical intervention strategies abroad, we know US militaristic occupation abroad and US militarism at home are inextricably linked. I wish more than anything that our taxes paid for education, healthcare, and public housing. I fight every day as a proud socialist for a better future where our collective funds are truly used for developing our educational capacity, our healthcare, our parks, our roads. But our money is never used for public goods. It's used for war and the police. We know that when we pay our taxes, they are soaked in blood. We know our taxes pay for the harassment and terror campaigns conducted by ICE and for the carpet bombing carried out against our sisters and brothers in Syria, Iraq, Palestine, Afghanistan, Sudan, and the Congo. Let us not forget that the Oxnard Police Department visited the colonial apartheid state of Israel for the purposes of attending what they call counterterrorism training in Israel in September of 2014 after a brutal carpet bombing campaign against Gaza. There is a direct and well-documented correlation between the militarization of police in the US and the genocide being carried out by the Israeli occupation forces against Palestinians. We know Oxnard PD has a relationship with the IOF, the Israeli occupation forces, and we know that the purchase of military equipment at this time, which has been notoriously used against protesters, is not a coincidence. We also recognize Oxnard Police Department's long history of terrorizing, harassing, and murdering community members.
Thank you.
Working class people, internationalist people, we all say no to militarization.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Hannah, followed by Ryan Dury. Hannah. I can't read your writing, I'm sorry. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Wait, how come there's no sound?
Old, killed on
Oh,
October 13, 2012 by Oxnard police. After Alfonso's murder, the department agreed to educate its officers to avoid incidents like this in the future. And then what happened? Let me tell you. Megan Hockaday, 26 years old, killed on March 28, 2015. Adam Barcena, 60 years old, killed on March 12, 2023. Christian Baltazar, 18 years old, killed on April 7, 2023. Michael Owens, 24 years old, killed on April 28, 2023. I say their names, all killed by Oxnard police. You may notice that police have killed 3 people this year alone. The police are already militarized. Why do you need more weapons? Who are you afraid of? They're the ones with the guns, with the batons, with the tasers. That does not condone any right to use these weapons on people who are going through a mental crisis. I'm thinking about Michael Owens. You don't just shoot people who are struggling to even find footing in reality. Cops do not get to decide who dies and who lives. How about what we need is more funding for mental health support and services? Perhaps if we as a community paid attention to what our neighbors needed, we wouldn't need such violence. 1 in 4 people in this county are food insecure. 69% have to choose between eating or paying their bills. 66% have to choose between eating or paying for medical care, and 31% have to choose between eating and education. City Council has a responsibility to serve our needs, and it turns out that our collective basic need of food security is not even being met. How about you take some time to prioritize the nourishment of the children of Oxnard before you decide to further weaponize a police force that doesn't need more murderous tools? Police should be here to protect, not to harass, not to kill, not to fill us with fear. You are elected to serve us. We realize with each day that this war goes on, we are living under a false sense of democracy. City Council of Oxnard, we challenge you to fund community growth as opposed to community punishment. Free Palestine, stop genocide. Don't fail us.
Okay, we have Ryan Drury followed by Taylor Buck.
My name is Ryan. I'm an anti-war activist and an organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. And I'm here tonight to strongly urge this council to vote against item K2, which calls for further funding the military equipment for the Oxnard Police Department. I was born and raised in Ventura County, and over the past few years, I've seen how hard it is for the residents of Oxnard to survive. Gas and groceries are getting more expensive, roads and infrastructure are deteriorating, funding for our schools is dwindling, public transit can't be relied on, and renters are being evicted left and right. Not only is day-to-day life for the average member of Oxnard working class getting more difficult, they have to deal with the constant harassment, humiliation, brutalization, and surveillance from the Oxnard Police Department. From the murder of Alfonso Limon, Megan Hockaday, Michael Owens, Christian Baltazar, Adam Barcenas, and many others, OPD's history of violence against Oxnard residents is well documented. And there should be no doubt as to what their intentions are with this military equipment should the council choose to vote against their constituents' wishes and further arm this unaccountable force of terror that is the Oxnard Police Department. Ask anyone from the working class of Oxnard and they'll tell you that the OPD is no friend of the people of this city. Why is it that when people ask for healthcare, education, food, student debt relief, and transportation, the government that claims to speak in our name says that we don't have a dime to spare and that you guys are on your own? But when it comes to Israel needing more bombs and bullets to slaughter Palestinians, or when Oxnard Police Department needs flash grenades, armored vehicles, and drones to surveil and terrorize the people of Oxnard, there's no limit to how much you are all willing to spend. It's because US imperialism and the US police force are two sides of the same fascist coin. They're tied at the hip. The Palestinian genocide is not a distant abstraction here. Our government cannot fund, arm, and co-sign the occupation and genocide of a native population and not expect the extension of that violence to be visited on our population domestically. In fact, the Israeli occupation forces, who are famous for their colonial brutality against Palestinians actually conduct training exchanges with many of the police departments in the country, including OPD, so that OPD can more effectively target Black and brown people disproportionately for brutalization, surveillance, and even murder. OPD is the boot on the neck of the people of Oxnard, and the City Council cannot vote to further fund their militarization. The people of Oxnard stand against police terror from Ventura County to Palestine. Oxnard City Council must vote no on item K2.
Okay, Taylor Butt, followed by Mike Montoya.
Good evening. I got butterflies on my tummy, so I'm gonna be a little nervous here. First, I'd like to say I support the local union. I think it was 721, and plead that you heed their and my request to keep good union jobs in Oxnard. Secondly, I'll say that there is nothing that I'm going to say right now better than what anyone else has already said, but y'all will just have to hear it anyway. So I'm speaking against item K2. I encourage everyone in support of such funding to ask yourself where the roots of crime come from. Most people here in this room live paycheck to paycheck, and that's true throughout Oxnard, to New York City and every place in between. Crime won't stop because you've increased the firepower and surveillance capabilities of the police. Crime stops when you lift people out of poverty and build a city that helps its vulnerable, not locks them away. We want funding for affordable housing. We want funding for public transit. We want funding for schools. We want funding for parks, roads. My homie over at the library, we want funding there. We want funding for healthcare, something I understand, the state and federal government can provide, yet they choose to spend the funding on, terrorism abroad. So I'm asking Oxnard City Council to not make a similar mistake. OPD has taken the lives of a handful of our brothers and sisters. May we never forget them. And that's all I gotta say. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike Montoya, followed by Angel Movie. Montoya.
Hello. My name is Mike Montoya, and I'm a local peace activist and organizer with the Party for Socialism and Liberation. I am here to express my opposition to the approval of Oxnard Police Department's expansion of its already existing military inventory. Oxnard and Ventura County is all I've ever known. After 33 years, it is a part of my identity. But as each day passes, it becomes more and more difficult to hold on to that identity as the cost to live in Oxnard continues to skyrocket and the city that we love morphs into something that's almost unrecognizable. You can see our city decaying as you pass through the streets and neighborhoods of our childhoods, while what seems to be an endless investment is taking place in a very concentrated area of the city. To put it simply, people are struggling. The same people who built the Oxnard we have come to love. We are gasping for relief as we endure unprecedented housing, gas, and grocery prices. We are digging our way out of never-ending debt cycles from medical bills and educational costs. We are scraping by in so many ways, both as a people and as a community. Which is why I strongly oppose the use of valuable funding to further expand OPD's military inventory instead of offering actual relief to the community. The constant pursuit to arm and militarize our police department has only and will only lead to the further oppression of the working class here in Oxnard. We can look back at the murders of Alfonso Limon Jr. and Megan Hockaday as examples of OPD's long history of violence against the community members, or to the failed gang injunction that the people of Oxnard are very familiar with, seeing the oppression and terrorizing of community members in real time solely based on how they look, how they dress, and where they live. Granting OPD the approval to expand their military inventory would result in more harm to our most vulnerable community members, because the job of the police in the United States and in Oxnard is not to make us safe, but to criminalize and brutalize the working class in the name of so-called progression. I implore everyone listening to take a look at Oxnard Police Department's Policy 708 that can be found on their website. This document details all military equipment OPD already has, the quantity of each item, as well as the cost. I look at this list of military equipment already in the hands of OPD, and I ask, how else could this money have been spent to better the lives of our community? When it comes to paying for food, education, and healthcare, we are told there's no money to be found. But when it comes to the oppression of Black and Brown communities in Oxnard, as well as the U.S. support for oppression across the globe, such as the ongoing genocide of Palestinians, we see blank checks handed out. I urge this council to vote no on Section K, Item 2, denying OPD the request to purchase more equipment that can be used to oppress our community. Instead, I implore you all to consider ways in which the city funding can better be utilized to uplift us.
Okay, next speaker is Angel Bowie, followed by Sarah. And it's M, I can't read the last name, but Angel.
Hello all, my name is Angel Marie, here to oppose item K2 to fight against the further militarization of Oxnard and Ventura County. I am a local college student attending CSU Channel Islands. We the students have been fighting against police oppression on our campus for years. Cal State Channel Islands is the only state university in Ventura County, and it is an HSI, Hispanic Serving Institute. The majority of students are students of color. Thus, the majority of our students are subjected to and experience excessive police harassment and police brutality on campus because they do not protect us. They silence us, confine us, and harm us. I am able to continue my education nonetheless because of my wonderful community and fearlessness. I am also able to afford my overpriced tuition with Chapter 35 VA benefits. If you're unfamiliar, it means the government pays for military service members' dependents' tuition after they either die in service or retire with substantial disability caused by their military service. My father is still alive, but is nothing but a shell of what he used to be. He retired with 100% disability from serving in the US military. That is the sacrifice a hood rat from South Central LA had to make to send his daughter to college. He gave over 20 years of his life to the military and hated every second. Having his humanity stripped away from him whilst being forced to use militarization to strip away rights from innocent people across the globe. Militarization is not only cruel to innocent civilians everywhere, not just harmful to local communities, but also harmful to the very people forced to serve in it and their families. Militarization is harmful to everyone. Use the funds to support education and the community students who are barely getting by as is. Oppose K2.
Sarah, followed by Josh Rahman. Sarah, followed by Rahman.
Hello, my name is Sara Michelle, and I have grown up in Ventura County for the last 20 years. I'm here today to speak against agenda item K2, wherein the Oxnard Police Department is seeking approval of the purchases of military equipment. The city of Oxnard has a history of misuse when it comes to the city's money. Since 2014, over $68 million has illegally been taken from their utility ratepayers. Reimbursement of only $36 million has been returned, but they still have it in their budget to provide an additional $1.1 million for the police department in 2023 to 2024. Meanwhile, the residents of Oxnard have to suffer from underfunded schools, park closures, crumbling roads, and lack of access to proper health care. Not to mention, Oxnard has the highest unhoused population in Ventura County, with only $200,000 for the unhoused encampment cleanups provided in 2023 to 2024 general fund budget. Even with more than enough issues to fix at home, the US government still opts to use our tax dollars to send billions of dollars a year to Israel to fund their genocide of Palestinians. Voting to further fund the Oxnard Police Department to purchase military equipment further equips the OPD to increase the terror and harassment they visit upon the Oxnard community. The military violence in the US funds and supports needs to be defunded from Palestine to the streets of Oxnard. OPD has a long history of terrorizing, harassing, and murdering community members. We will never forget Alfonso Limon, Megan Hockaday, Adam Barcinas, Christian Balthazar, Michael Owens. We will never forget the relentless ICE raids and harassment imposed upon our neighbors. It is an insult for the already massively funded police department to ask for more funding for drones and flashbang grenades. I strongly oppose agenda item K2 and implore City Council to stand on the side of the people and reject his proposal. Viva, viva Palestina.
Okay. Roman, followed by Lucy Castellana. Roman, thank you.
I'm a short one. Evening, I'm Jasmine Roman. I am another lifelong liver of Oxnard, California. I am multi-generational. Many members of my family have lived here since before these lands were even California, right? My mom immigrated here with her family back in the 70s, right? So this has been home for many generations. That being said, I can tell you, because you are all residents of this area too, all of the issues that we had. I can repeat every single thing that every single person has said, but I know that you know the issues because look at those fun facts that you gave us that you yourself admitted are not fun. They're fart facts because they stink and they're depressing, right? Like you just listed so many things that were wrong here in our city.
Not the fart facts.
We know what's wrong. We can see it around us. You have children in the district. I work in the district. Do you know how hard and depressing it is to go into these schools and to work with children who are struggling with their mental health and to see how they are treated in our public schools and to also see that they don't even have classrooms provided for them in the majority of the schools of our district. It's one or two here or there. How is that okay? Again, we have all of the answers here of what is wrong, what we need to fix, what we should try to do better on. And that is not more police funding. We don't need that. Are we some insurgents, right? Are we terrorists here as civilians in Oxnard? We're just civilians. We're just human beings too, right? Let me speak to you human to human right now. Why do we need to spend more money on military funding and military weapons for our police force that is meant to protect our civilians? How does that add up? We already have an in-house military force in America. If they want so badly to have military weapons, they can go join up there. That is not what our police force is for. So yes, I urge you in terms of K2 to show your dissent, to use your voice, and to start actually spending money on the stuff that we need. I don't want my niece to grow up here and my future children to potentially grow up here and have to deal with military forces from the police who were meant to protect them. And I know that you all don't want that either. So look into your hearts, look into your homes, go look into your children's eyes, your wife's eyes, your husband's eyes, your partner's eyes. And really, really think about if this is what you want. If this is the legacy that you want to leave here in Oxnard. Thank you.
Okay, our next speaker is Lucy Casajena, followed by Chimuda Lopez. Lucy.
Cartagena, that's my last name. First and foremost, I just want to say, damn, you guys killed it. That's the power of the youth right there.
Lucy, address the chair, Lucy. Thank you.
That's the power of the youth right there.
Thank you.
Address them. That's your constituents right there. That's your constituents right there. We came years ago talking about, everybody, let's not forget Roberto Ramirez, but we came years ago talking about police brutality and different things happening.
Damn, who's
now
we, Lucy?
Come up and rise.
Who's we?
Like Raiz.
Who's we
as
came
they come
years
and
ago?
Speak. I cannot articulate as well
Never
as they
mind.
did.
Let me
and
not say
I
too
cannot
much.
even come close to bringing up the things we've talking about for decades now. But I can tell you, these are your voters, and this is what they want. And if you can't hear it, you'll feel it. Today is voting day, November 7th, voting day. What we do know is that there is minimal evidence to prove that surveillance reduces any type of crime or prevents it. So we know that we're dropping money with no proof or evidence that it will help, none whatsoever. So you can't sit here and say what exactly it's going to help because you already have what you need to help you. What you do know is that there is evidence that putting resources and monies back into the community works for the criminal justice system. We know that educating the youth helps the criminal justice system. We know that prisons are built based by reading, where the reader's age group is. We know that's how America builds prisons. So if we know and we have actual facts, there is no facts to substantiate that bringing military equipment into a community will help it in any way, shape, or form. So the only reason you would possibly approve something like that knowing the facts, knowing and hearing the youth cry out, and knowing and hearing your constituents that they don't want to see this in their community that you represent, then you are just doing a disservice to your community and doing a disservice to what you sit there for. So really think hard about who you are serving and what purpose it is serving, because you're not serving the community, you're serving the police, which is not serving the community, because that's a whole different entity. They're funded to do a job. The same way they come into a school, their only job is to cite and arrest. But yet we still keep them. And the city keeps that contract, that $1 million contract with the school district. But their only job is to cite and arrest students. That's it. So let's be realistic about what exactly their job is in the community and to us.
Thank you, Lucy. Please. Mr. Lopez, Saburo Lopez. And followed by Reverend Runyon.
It's Chamuco. How's everyone doing? Zaragoza.
Thank you.
Tehran. I also, this is just off the top. Obviously, I'm vote against K2 for all the reasons everyone before me has listed. Another reason too, and the reason why it's upsetting that you guys are voting on or proposing this to spend more money on military equipment is because I think in 2020 there was a VC article that you guys were going to remodel my neighborhood park, Daly Park, and it was subject to be completed in 2023 or 2024, and there hasn't been anything, nothing has changed except newer lights, and I wholeheartedly believe that those new lights are there just to have more like eyes on the people, on the houses, people who sleep there, because they're extremely bright in the middle of the park where no one really walks through except where like homeless people sleep at. So yeah, just hopefully you guys can vote no and start getting projects started that were supposed to start 3 years ago, and also repave J Street's alleyway. It's really bad. The holes are like 3 inches deep. My car slams every single time I park in the alley. It's a busy street. And yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, Reverend Greg Runyon.
Before I get too far into saying everything else, I may not agree with everything that was said, but the passion and the engagement, I hope that continues in all that you do. I think it's really important to hear all the voices. And I find it very hard to disagree with this idea that we need to do better for our youth and we need to do better in those ways. But I also think it's very short-sighted when we don't think about all the things that we're not talking about. And while I hear military equipment, I had to read it twice because I don't want to see a tank going down the street. I don't want to see a helicopter landing on my front lawn. But I will tell you, Pastor Greg or not, if somebody takes my wife hostage, you better bet I want a flashbang. That's what I'm. Hey,
this fool.
I've been there and done some things in my life, and I'm not
Pastor
a person
Greg.
of color. I'm not a disenfranchised person.
Oh, he's not a person of color. Damn. Good thing he told us, because I would not have been able to tell he was not a person of color.
Talk about it or ignore it. There are things that have to happen. Having said that, accountability is important. And while I support the police and I support this, I also think that if we are going to grow and if we are going to get better and we're going to do the things we say we're going to do, we have to be able to talk to people that we don't agree with and hear what we don't agree with, and then have a dialogue and have a discussion. I heard a lot of labels. And it's very funny that if you agree with somebody, you're a comrade. If you disagree, you're something else. But why can't we just disagree and be, as one person said, human beings? Why can't we figure out a way to coexist? Maybe it's idealistic for me to even say this. What if we did get to a place where we didn't have to have flashbangs and drones?
I'm telling you, like, you know, he put the pasta to cook, but
that would
like
be great.
he's
we're
cooking
not there now.
But he's taking the food out too early from the oven. Like he's not letting it cook enough.
Who thinks they can take the law into their own hands?
Like it's like these type of people
Borderline happened.
Like these type of people like low-key like frustrate the hell out of me. It's
in
like
Thousand Oaks. There are
it's like you're almost there
all the time.
with your ideology, but like you're not. Like you're still clinging on to like people like this. They're still clinging on to their whiteness. Right, because at the end of the day, this is a white man, and he has a lot of privilege. He has a lot of privilege, you know, because of his whiteness.
Madam Clerk, any other speakers on this
proximity to power and all that stuff. So,
Mayor Zaragoza, yes,
anyway,
we have one additional virtual speaker.
Okay.
Caller with phone number ending in
someone else is going to talk.
2981. Please press *6 to unmute and introduce yourself if you like, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Hello, good evening. My name is Solvit, and I'm a resident of Oxnard, speaking against further militarization of our city's police. As previous commenters, I think funding is better appropriated in mental health and much more for city's needs instead of more weapons. Earlier this year, our police was under scrutiny due to some instances connected to mental health calls, where one call resulted in the death of someone who was experiencing a mental health emergency. And it's very apparent to me that our local police can do better when it comes to responding to mental health emergencies, which is why I truly do believe that allocating funding so that mental health specialists can join into mental health calls seems more reasonable instead of purchasing more weapons. I have this fear that has become more apparent and more real on the stress that our community has and the unrest when it comes to living in the city, where the police is very much apparent and present and getting more funding and more support. I wanted to share my thoughts and really speak in favor of allocating this funding somewhere more in regards to mental health or the many more needs of our city. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Madam, any speakers virtually or in person?
Mayor Zaragoza, there's no additional speakers virtually or in person for this item.
Before we go to our council members, I just want to thank all the speakers that are here today. Thank you for coming in, and I think it's important. I know I heard about streets, I heard about schools, I heard about homelessness, I heard about all those issues. And
brother, these are the same things you've been hearing about for the past like 20 years, brother. So
you know, they have a board there, the school boards. They have the high school board.
See, and that's always the go-to whenever anybody mentions like schools and funding, they're like, oh, but this is a separate entity. The school districts do that.
I just want to share
okay,
with you that
but like, wasn't the city just like beefing with the new Del Sol school because they were in cahoots to like, you know,
and we also need the
they had to finish the lights down rows or whatever, something like that. It's like, I don't, you know, you're over here like
helping us out.
Having contracts with the OPD and like the school districts to have cops on campus, like
file lawsuits against us.
Cuando les conviene,
for example, we want to fix our streets and we
the schools are a different entity and the school districts are different. Pero cuando no les conviene, or no, más bien cuando les conviene for their money, use
funding to fix our streets.
You know, they can do business with them.
So there's
two
sides to our story.
Brother, you can shut the hell up, brother. Honestly,
I would like to call the chief just to give us a little bit of information, because this item that we have here, they call it military equipment, but it's not military equipment. It's
so then why do you call it military equipment, brother? If it's not military equipment, why do you call it military equipment, brother? Do words not mean things?
but there's two sides to every story. And I like
So,
to
like,
share
you know, just
have
words don't mean. Listen,
police
I'm gonna
chief
call
share
something
the other
military.
side of
I'm
the
gonna
story.
call a
It's
pencil
not
military equipment.
work
It's not
as we
military
shared, and we're
equipment.
not militarizing our police department, because I think it's extremely important to understand that.
This fool is so
Let's go
annoying.
ahead again. There's two sides to every story, and again,
There's
it's
two sides
really
to every
important
story,
to
Brother
support
Shatilla.
public safety. Please, you had your share. Thank you, sir. Chief.
Maybe Mayor and Council Jason.
It's equipment that's like military grade, and the military uses it, but it's not military equipment. We just named it military equipment, but it's not military equipment, guys.
And I think that is our starting point with this particular issue. To the point of
look at this Vegeta hairline head ass fool.
Yes, the legislation under the Government Code Section 7070 through 7075 defines a list of items as being quote unquote military equipment. That definition was defined by the assembly person that wrote the legislation back in 2020 or 2021. So that is, for all intents and purposes, we have to use the term military equipment. When you look at what is actually being used, there are some things in there that when you look at this broad list would be things that you would see in the military. And I believe when we brought this item to council probably nearly 2 years ago, we talked about a lot of these things that are not in our arsenal or not in our inventory. For example, the mine-resistant anti-personnel vehicles. We don't have anything like that. The city of Oxnard's inventory is relatively modest when you take a step back and you look at the inventories that law enforcement agencies in California are using. I can't speak for every agency. We don't participate in the military surplus program. It's known as the 1033 program. We do not receive that type of equipment anymore. We decided to liquidate that inventory several years ago, and we don't go there. So with that, things that are in this list, drones, for example, and I've mentioned this in a number of different forums before, but any person behind me in the audience can order a drone on Amazon and use it for whatever purposes that they choose. And that's for whether it's for lawful or unlawful purposes. The second
actually, we kind of can't, because since we're close to a base, actually so drone usage is very much a double standard that's applied to you know that,
this type of stuff.
I'm sure you
the equipment
know
that we see in there includes less lethal equipment, less lethal munitions, beanbag shotguns, other projectiles that are intended to stop a person.
Because no one has, no cop has ever killed anybody with like less than lethal
military equipment.
Okay, cool.
In this profession, we do need tools to do our jobs. And over the years, the job has become a lot more complex. And because of that, we have to be resourceful, and we have to have tools that can help us lend towards bringing incidents towards the most peaceful resolution as possible. So we have these tools, the drones, for example.
This was gonna be like
flying cameras
me playing Call of Duty, throwing like a flashbang grenade. It's just gonna
keep not just the
you're
officers
gonna throw it and it's gonna bounce back
safe.
and flash themselves.
I can go into more detail about drones, but placing them over a house prior to a high-risk search warrant service lets them know if the person who is armed and dangerous is fleeing from the perimeter. And if so, they can follow them.
Why don't you just place officers in the back of the house
that you said is before
you go into the house, brother? Why don't you, like,
$29,000 in materials?
And I don't
clarify a couple things that were brought up is that this is to simply replace and to replenish the existing inventory that the police department has. We're not expanding our inventory. We're replacing things that have been used through the course of work and through the course of training. We're not asking for any expansion of any type of funding to our budget. We are working from within our existing budget. And to that point, the funds that are being used for this purchase do not come from the city's general fund.
That's right.
Then why do you have to like ask permission from the city council, brother?
Funding, as well as state and federal
they want to
asset
act like,
seizure
oh, the
funding,
money
which
is not coming from the money of the city council. So why are you over here begging the city council? Why does the city council have to approve
a lot of the equipment
your
that
stuff, brother?
Is
like, do you
called
think
what
we're
it is called? If you want to call the armored personnel carrier or armored rescue vehicle a tank, call it a tank.
Oh
it's
my
not
God.
a tank. That was paid for with grant funding. our city's general fund did not pay.
So
for
then
these
why
types
are
of
you
things.
up here begging
But overall,
the city council for stuff?
I think that
if this money doesn't come from them and nothing comes from so what do you just
in a
wasting
number of
time?
different forums over the years, and I can say that
So
the
this is a
side will
waste of time.
probably never agree. But I will say that to add to what Pastor Runyon said, when somebody is in a home and they are threatening the life of other people, there's times when this equipment is absolutely necessary. With us tonight, I have a couple of commanders that can speak to this from personal experience that they've seen during the course of their careers. And so I will leave it at that, and I will just simply take questions from the council.
Yeah, and thank you, Chief. I just want people to understand, because of legislation, they call it military, not because we're buying military equipment or using military equipment. And I think it's important that our people understand that, you know, and I think it's important that people understand that, if you can hear me, that it's not military equipment. It has to be called because of the legislation. It has to be named military equipment. Yeah, but let's not go ahead. You've had your part already, but I want to thank you, all of it, because we have priorities here in the city where we want to help the community. You need to help us too. Thank you for this. You've had your chance already. Thank you, Chief. Council members, we have items 1 to 8. Any questions, Councilman Turan?
Thank you. Chief, I have some clarifying questions that I'm hoping that everybody who's watching,
I'm sure you do. I'm sure
online
you do,
tonight or on TV or in the audience,
he's gonna watch. He's gonna use his logic and coolness and
in front of us, and that way we can
make a decision.
Be fully informed in moving forward on this. And this is not spin. This is not trying to put icing on anything. This is truly what is actually happening here, so that everybody's clear on it, including the council up here. You already addressed it a little bit, but just to clarify, are these new purchases?
These purchases are just simply to replace items that are either lost or need to be replenished.
Okay, and so
why does that matter, brother?
We say that we're not expanding on funding, we're not expanding in inventory, we're replacing items that have reached the end of their service life or are consumable items like the flashbangs that need to be replaced, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So we're not going to be adding additional funding to do this. It sounds like this has already been budgeted out of those specific allocations.
Correct.
Okay. Do we have a picture that we can show or something about what the drones look like?
Yes.
Why does it matter what they look like or not look
products that are in
Police Chief Benitez, do you actually have a flashbang grenade you can actually throw in here so we can see what that looks like?
Okay, and I hope that the general public can hear this as well, because I know when I hear a drone or even an unmanned aerial vehicle, especially when associated with military equipment, I imagine a small plane that is remotely controlled by somebody somewhere that does surveillance. Sometimes they have weapons. Those types of devices, is that what we have in front of us here?
Absolutely not. These are devices that you would often be able to buy in the retail market.
Okay, so consumers can buy these as well. So they're not military
so I can
grade.
buy a flashbang grenade.
Okay.
It's in the film industry. There are also such products can be found not just over retail, but they are found in civilian industries.
Thank you.
Nice.
And I want to make it clear too, for these drones that we're looking at, and I'm going to call them drones because naming the staff report's too long. What is the purpose of Oxnard PD using these drones? What is the mission of them? Why do we have them, and how are they actually used?
So we've been using them for approximately 4 years now. We have a webpage on oxnardpd.org, which actually goes into more detail. So if I don't cover something today, there's more information available there, along with our policy and some of our uses. We have about 17 different uses for the drones. Whenever we fly them or deploy them, there is a mission category.
And honestly,
type.
what y'all need to like understand,
the leading ones being, I'll give
what
you
y'all
the
need to
top
understand
ones,
about these meetings
tactical
is
assist,
like,
crime
and this is
scene
something that I've like
documentation, traffic,
talked to
scene
people about
documentation,
that have reached out
field
to me and they see
operations
me, you know,
support,
like
special events,
talking about city
information
council and watching the
gathering,
city council
fireworks
meetings.
suppression and
The
enforcement.
only
Those are
reason I
the
call
leading
in,
ones that were
right,
based on our 2022 report, where we had about 89
is just to
deployments.
talk
And
my
a tactical
stuff.
operation
Because
in
you
practice,
see,
what does that
all of
typically look
these
like?
things
So that is a
are already
high-risk
decided.
incident when officers are
They already
serving
decided. Like
a
if,
high-risk
especially
search
if you
warrant
hear
that
the type
meets
of
certain
questions that
criteria
this
that
fool,
would present
what's
a
his
level of
face, what's his
hazard
name,
to the officers
whatever it is,
or the
Ben
general
Shapiro
public.
want to be,
That is when the drone
like
would be deployed. Typically,
he's
as Overwatch.
asking
It would be
questions.
placed over
Like
the
he's
scene of the
basically
warrant
soft
service,
pitching,
and it would
like,
actually
you know,
be
if
there
this
to
was like
relay any
baseball or something,
information
which
should it
a
become
horrible
necessary.
analogy because
So
I
it's an
know nothing
overhead
about
view
sports.
of the property
But like
being
he's
served.
basically
Essentially the same thing that a
giving
helicopter
these
does, which
questions
is
to the
not
police
necessarily
chief
considered to be military equipment.
so that
And
he
so
can come up with good
when this type
answers.
of operation is
Because
going
they
on, you
already
mentioned
made up
that
their
there's
minds. They're gonna
criteria that
approve
has
it.
to be met.
Like
An
all of
officer
this is
can't
just
just arbitrarily
ceremonial.
say, "Hey, let's
Like
get
it's
the drone out
symbolic.
here. I want to take
Like
a look at that
calling
house or that
into city
backyard." Can
council
they?
and stuff like
Not
that,
under
it's
not
good
under those circumstances.
so that
no.
they know that we
And
know
that leads
what they're
to
doing
policy
and
around
that we
this.
don't agree with it.
We do have policy in
But
place
to be
for how
really
these drones are
honest, like
operated
if
and
you're
who can
actually
operate them. Is that
thinking that you're
correct?
going to
We
change
do.
any
It's
of these
on our
fools'
website.
minds,
It's policy
you're not.
section 610. You'll find it's
Like the
as,
only thing that
there
I
are
aspire to
rigid
be when I
requirements
call
for
into these
those
city
who can
councils
actually
is a
operate
pain in the
drone.
ass.
Okay. And
That's
how many officers do we have
I want them.
approximately
I
who
want
qualify
them to be
this or have been
uncomfortable.
trained in doing these
Like I want them
operations?
every
About a
time that
dozen, and they're at
they
every
see
rank
my
of the
name,
department
they know
between
that
officer and
I'm about to say some
Okay.
stuff that's going to make it real
And this
awkward in there real
policy,
fast.
it is
Like that's what I
a
want.
public document that can be reviewed
Because
by folks,
these
right?
people,
Yes, it's on our webpage.
they already
in the
made up their
drones
minds.
section.
Okay.
They already did.
And
They're
within the
building
policy,
a
there's a
police
prohibited
department
use
in
section.
South Oxnard,
I
for Christ's sake.
don't mean to put you on the spot, but
Like
off the top
we're
of your
not.
head, do you know
They're
some of the
not.
items
They're
on there?
not
If not,
gonna
I have
listen
them
to us and be
listed
like,
here.
"Oh my God! Wow,
Yes,
yeah, they're right.
conducting random patrol
Let's
or
not.
surveillance
Let's not.
activities. So
Like
it's
let's
random surveillance.
let's
We don't
spend
do
money
that.
on these
Monitoring a
other
person
things. They're not.
based solely on individual characteristics,
Like you
such
have to
as, but
understand.
not
Like
limited to race, ethnicity,
this
national
is.
origin, religion,
They already
disability,
made up their
gender, or
minds.
sexual orientation. Harassing, intimidating, or discriminating against any individual or group, as well as conducting any type of personal business. And especially note that our unmanned aerial systems do not carry weapons or armament of any kind.
Okay, so these are the prohibited uses for the drones.
Yes.
And just in general, if we had an officer who violated policy, would they face discipline?
They could potentially face discipline if the allegation was found to be sustained.
Okay.
If they investigate
I know this is
themselves
something
and
that
say,
is,
"Oh yeah, actually, I did a bad thing." That's what that means.
a topic that has been going on for many years. I come from education, and it's stated it's hard to get rid of bad teachers or bad
Come from
administrators.
education, damn.
The statement is that they
That's
just
news
kind
to
of get
me.
moved
I would
around.
not have been able to tell.
And I think there's similar discussion around police agencies where bad police officers stick around. We just move them to other assignments. Have we released officers from Oxnard PD for violating policy or in very recent years since you've been on board as chief or in your time as assistant chief?
Yes, we have.
So then why have I been calling and letting them know that these cops that are barely retiring have been doing all of these bad things? If homie is over here saying like, "Oh, but have they fired the bad cops?"
The drone might be
the
misused.
chief is like, "Oh yeah, we fired him." Brother, have I not been calling like for the past like 3 city council meetings?
Any consumer can buy a drone with a camera on it and fly it over my house.
They're still working. They're still cops.
See into my backyard or see into my windows. Or,
like I'm telling you, like
homeboy,
like
my
just
neighbor's backyard. And so
just shut the hell up and just
bothers
vote
me.
yes on it, brother.
But it bothers me more
That's
so
all
if
you
our
gotta do.
government was able to do that unrestricted or without any accountability. These policies that are in place, there are objective criteria that must be met and must be able to be demonstrated if or when a drone is deployed, correct?
Yes.
And policy must be adhered to. And if it's not, it sounds like there would be potential for discipline.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, so now for the light sound diversionary devices, which is also a long name. I hope it's okay if I say flashbang on this. I'm sorry?
Oh, that's
light sound diversionary devices. So flashbang devices, when are these used?
They're generally used in tactical situations that has to be approved in the deployment. They're used typically in an area where they want to try to get compliance from persons, say, for example, who is barricaded and will not exit a structure or a vehicle. They are They can be used during entries into residence should it become necessary for a tactical team to do so. But I have to really emphasize to the council and to the public that these are not just carried by any officer in the department. They're limited to tactical teams. They're limited to people that have undergone special training for that and must actually show proficiency every year to use it. We do have a limited cadre of officers that are allowed to carry. They're issued 2, and they must also be at least they must be at the rank of sergeant or supervisor, and they must have also had at least 2 years of SWAT experience in order for them to even carry it.
Okay. And misuse of these, is there are there consequences for arbitrary use or misuse or non-adherence to policy for these?
Absolutely.
Okay. And can you I've never you know, I have the privilege of saying I've never been in a house or in a situation where these were used where I was nearby, aside from hearing them down the street in my neighborhood or being peripherally involved. But what is the experience for the person who this is used to divert their attention?
I'm sorry.
What's the experience of that when these things go off?
Oh, I see. So it's not actually like a grenade that detonates a person. It's a device that actually emits a very bright flash of light, which is followed by a report of a bang, maybe 1 to 2 bangs. And that creates kind of a disorienting state for several seconds, which may allow a hostage to escape or to give the initiative to the officers that are making the move.
Okay. So the intention is for disorientation.
So there's someone being held hostage
or incapacitation of the person.
An enclosed area.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
And the person that's holding him hostage is right there, right?
And so, before I close things out here,
flashbang in there.
Question I have before I comment.
And you're saying that while the flashbang is
sources,
going off,
you already touched on this, but can these 2 funding sources, maybe our city manager
Brother, the hostage is not going to be able to see
you mentioned supplemental law enforcement funding from the state, as well as asset funds from the state.
Oh my God.
Can these 2 funding sources be used for things like parks, bike lanes, housing, libraries, or youth events?
No.
And that's by...
They just like eat it up.
By statute,
like homie with all his coolness and logic and reasoning. Like you don't
the general fund, on the other hand,
about what he just said, and you're like, wait,
that's
how is the hostage supposed to escape if the hostage also got flashbang?
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Like that's not
also when we get other.
You're talking about you have a background in education, brother. I don't.
In addition to the general fund.
Thank you. So again, the general fund pays for those things that are our quality of life items that we absolutely, admittedly, need to continue to invest in. And I think that things are much better than they were in 2020, and we're continuing to make those improvements, but we still have a ways to go. I will readily admit that. But the general fund funds those items for the most part, in addition to special grant funding. And the general fund today is not paying for these items in front of us.
Not these particular items, no.
Thank you.
That's correct. And Councilmember, if I can enhance that, our general fund only goes towards municipal services, parks, libraries, streets, and so on. We do not fund mental health. That is a county.
Yeah, look at the age-old excuse. We don't have anything to do with mental health. We can't fund it.
We do not fund
we can't do anything with it.
Like, in terms of
they wash their hands. That's why they have so many different departments. That's why there's
different and separate
the city council and the way that the city is set up and stuff like that.
And receive
it's done
funding from our property taxes,
so that
but
they can use
reallocated
excuses like this,
via
so
the
that they
state.
can be like, oh, that's not our department. That's someone else.
Like social and / quality of life issues are not services provided by a municipality, most common in California. Thank you.
I was going to say that, but okay, thanks. All right.
So,
I'm just going to wrap up here, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So regarding calling these things military equipment, I appreciate
the only thing that I like about a lot of people calling into these meetings and like
legislation states and how this works, and
really long is that after a while
technically,
you can tell that,
if they wanted to revise that definition, they could call patrol cars military equipment.
So they get like really snappy
here having
and
a conversation about don't buy
catty to each other because they're like hangry.
So, and I'll call just order on that.
Thank you, please. Yeah.
So. I've also seen calls, rightfully so, for the increased use and more discretion on the use of less lethal devices when a situation warrants it, instead of using service weapons and shooting someone with their service weapon or an AR-15, resorting to less lethal devices. I've seen calls from the general public and many folks who express concern around police-involved shootings across the country, not just here. But in the state of California, as was just mentioned, these less lethal devices, which folks are calling for the use of, like beanbag shotguns and tasers, are under their definition considered military equipment. And people are saying, don't buy military equipment. But we're also hearing use less lethal devices. And so the legislation can't have it both ways. You know, if we're calling it military equipment, but people are saying don't buy military equipment, but use these things that are called military equipment, I hope we can see the double standard or the stuck place that people are in. So
please.
Who is doing the ruckus in there?
Surveillance. Info about tonight's meeting was shared on Instagram. I posted about the agenda. I saw that there were folks calling for folks to come out and speak, which I appreciate that they did. Instagram is a platform owned by Meta and operated by Meta, which has little to no accountability for the use of our data and actually monetizes it. So surveillance, we have policy in place that prohibits the use of these drones for arbitrary surveillance on just general members of the public. And yet many of us, without hesitation, give consent for private companies without accountability to surveil us and use that data for their own profit.
He said, so you guys use Instagram, and so lastly, you guys are already getting surveilled. So
for mental health and substance use services,
let the OPD surveil you too.
Those are overseen by the County of Ventura. Prior to her passing, Supervisor Ramirez and I were working together to try to see how we can enhance that for the city of Oxnard and have a very honest conversation about where the gaps in services are that I've seen in my career and how we can enhance that for our unhoused population, for our folks who hesitate to access those services or access those services and find them to be culturally insufficient. And so I hope that folks will continue to make those comments for the Board of Supervisors. I'd be happy to join to continue those conversations. And lastly, for school funding, as our city manager mentioned, classroom, curriculum, equity and achievement, meals, all of that is under the purview of the school district and the Board of Trustees. And I hope that folks will go to those government entities as well and express their desire for different types of funding and different priorities in that and how they organize those. So
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Oh, Venezuela, Mayor Pro Tem. Why I didn't see you turned it off? You still want to speak?
Fine. I just wanted to say thank you all very much for all the Ventura County activists for coming out here, and and raising their voice to this issue. And I know being a police officer is not an easy position to be in, or a police department. But ultimately, this is. It's like back in my first meeting, I wasn't in favor of more or reintroducing more of our equipment or replacing it. And no, I think I'm in a similar position as before to not be in favor of this item. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, but brother, you can say with your whole chest, I'm not in favor of this item.
I appreciate the passion.
And you don't have to soften the blow by saying, "Oh, but I know it's
anyone that's
being
ever
a
lost
cop is not an
anybody,
easy job."
the pain that's
you don't have
there.
to do that. You don't have to be
That being
apologetic
said,
like that. Actually,
well, I
please
appreciate
don't be
your passion
apologetic
and
like
your comments.
that. Say what you're gonna say with your whole chest.
I agree with some of them, not all
I
of
don't
them.
agree with this, and I'm not for it.
It is what it is.
Period.
You won't agree with some of my comments.
Don't ever try to soften and be like, "Oh, but but."
I come from a little different perspective in that I spent about 30 years in law enforcement.
That's such a.
Well, a lot of those 30 years.
That's such a banana bread take, and I will not expand
about
on
where
that.
I was at, what I was doing most of the time. But there are three things that are crystal clear in my mind, even though I've been out of the business for about 15, 20 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. I can tell you where I was at and who I was working with when John Adair died, responding to a domestic violence call.
Oh yeah, he used to work with
I
cops.
can tell you where I was at and what I was doing when Jim Jensen died due to gunfire. And I can tell you where I was at and what I was doing when Jim O'Brien was shot by a gentleman. I use the term gentleman out of respect for human life, but a person that had killed several people at an EDD office here in Oxnard was going to the EDD office in Ventura. And so those are all very vivid in my mind.
Like, no offense, but like all of this happened in like 1852.
And I can remember driving by seeing Jim Jensen,
or when?
not Jim Jensen, Jim O'Brien, I apologize, seated next to his car on Victoria Avenue in a somewhat relaxed position and knowing that he was dead, that he would never come back to talk to any of us. And he looked at peace, and that's still crystal clear in my mind. A lot of the other stuff I don't remember so well, but
yeah, all the other stuff you don't remember so well. Like you don't
we all have things that
like
we're
us talking
concerned about.
like Megan Hockaday and like her family talking. And,
law
like,
enforcement
being
can be an inherently risky business, and you never know at which time
having witnessed
that risk may or may not occur.
In front of them.
And we saw this a little bit over a month ago.
That's so
when
funny how people's memories like
was in his
are
patrol
so
vehicle,
selective
stopped at a
because
red
he was
light,
there. Like
and a
this
person
fool was
pulled up
there when we
alongside
were
of him,
in
shot
there
from
with
the
their
left rear of
families
his car and killed him
and like
while he
family
sat in his
members
car.
crying and stuff like that. Like
that happens.
But he doesn't
We
remember
all know that happens.
right?
So,
but he remembers some
I'm at a
cop that got
place
killed in
where
like 1792. That he
I think
remembers.
that I need to do as a person what I can to help give those officers their best odds at surviving this career. And how that comes down, how that works out, that's up to that officer. That's up to the community. It's up to their chain of command. But I'm not prepared to take anything away from them that I think may ultimately give them the opportunity or take away that opportunity to defend themselves. And I will tell you that every officer I've ever talked to prays for a career where they never have to use deadly force, but sometimes that happens. You know, we talk about domestic violence calls, probably the most dangerous call for law enforcement officers.
Yeah, speaking of domestic violence, it would be a shame if people would
officers
Google
don't like
domestic
responding to those
violence,
calls.
police,
It's that simple.
and
They would
40%
rather give
together.
it to someone else, but
Definitely don't
generally
do
there's no one else out there. When you call 911 after 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock at night, you're going to get one of two people. You're going to get a police officer or you're going to get a firefighter. And either one of them will run into the face of danger to do what they believe is their sworn duty. And if you don't agree with me, take a look at any of the video from 9/11 when the World Trade Center.
Why is homie talking about 9/11?
With jets or by jets, and everybody was running away from those trade centers. Police and fire were the ones that were running into them.
No, there were a lot of
They
civilians that
gave
were
up the people
running
that
into
died
the
there,
World
gave
Trade
up their
Centers
lives
to help
in
people.
support of their community. That's what law enforcement, that's what fire department people do. That's what public safety does.
Because that's their
job.
job.
You know, there's a lot of discussion about school districts,
They're
and we
doing their
should put
job.
more money into the school districts. School districts are their own governmental entity. They are funded separately from cities. Cities have nothing to do with that funding. On my personal property tax bill, I have 6 tax increments.
God, look at this fool's
local
hair,
school
brother.
district.
Like, I don't want to be mean.
I don't have
but
kids. I don't have anybody that's going to that school district, but I still pay that money in support of being a citizen here in the city of Oxnard and the California and the United States. That's part of the system. That's how the system works. You know, I apologize. I need to take a little bit of a second to recapture myself, but
Oh, now he's going to start crying.
I am not going to vote against this item. It's
Of
that
course you're
simple.
not.
And all of you, if you're unhappy with me about that, I understand that. But that is going to be my vote as an individual to support
I'm
this
not
item.
surprised.
So,
I didn't
thank you,
expect
Mr.
the
Mayor.
ex-cop
Councilor
to
Perillo.
vote against cops.
Thank you very much, Mayor. It's been a long time since we've seen this much passion in a city council meeting. And I got to compliment the majority of you. You've been very respectful. I mean, some of the other groups that have gone a little haywire could learn a lot from you. The item before us is to get drones and equipment, flashbang, safe meanings of getting an individual under control versus having to use a lethal weapon. It's been already explained by my fellow council members. I support this issue. But there've been some comments that have been made. We have a police department that is trained and held accountable. You heard questions asked if anybody's been let go. The answer was yes. You've brought up questions about, Madam, Madam, and I use that.
No.
And with respect to the issue of the education and putting money into schools, if you're following our community presentation about differences, you'll see where the Oxnard school districts and the money that you're spending for the schools, and maybe you'll question the product that you're getting out of those schools, because we don't have anything to do with the schools. The funding is different, as has already been mentioned. The comments with respect to the pay for these facilities, to pay for these employees. We have banners hanging through the city, offering the opportunity to apply for these jobs. If you qualify, you can get one of these jobs if you're interested.
Why would I want to be a cop, brother?
The issue with respect to the drones, the discretion, the issues of the flashbang, it's just one more thing. When I first got on this council, I believe I'm the first person and the only one at the time to push for body cameras. It didn't happen overnight. It was a fight.
Liar.
And I'm proud of that.
He was not pushing for body cameras.
We got the body cameras.
You're a
They haven't just
liar.
helped the
They got
police.
body cameras
They've
because
helped the
of
residents,
the lawsuit of
and they've
Alfonso
helped the
Limon.
liability
That's
for
why
the
they
city
got
of
body
Oxnard.
cameras.
I believe these
This
things
fool
will do
is
the
just
same
a
thing.
straight up
I support
liar.
this. Thank you, Mayor.
And I will see you in hell, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I wasn't going to say much, but about this, but today, you know, we heard about people staying quiet. I'm not one to stay quiet, and usually when I talk, I say a lot of things. But one thing that I want to address is I just heard I don't want to be a pig. So inappropriate. That is what's wrong with our
that is
society
highly
today.
inappropriate for pigs. That's
Name calling
super offensive
when it
to
doesn't
pigs.
go your way is not what our community is about.
Someone said, I don't
I
want
don't
to be a
appreciate the
pig.
comments. Those officers that serve our community in every part of our nation.
A little interesting
Once
thing about
they
this
put
lady.
on that blue
I
uniform,
remember, I think it
their
was
lives
like 1
are
or
in
2
danger.
years ago. They were talking about.
They
were talking
again,
about an issue.
Again, no,
of,
it's my time to talk.
like street
It's my
vendors,
time
right?
to talk.
Like,
We
or no,
were
people.
all
It was
respectful
like
and we all heard.
it was people who
Okay,
sell
but what I'm
and
not
make food
going
out of their
to
houses,
stand
which are
here and
predominantly like people
allow
of color, predominantly like
is
immigrant
for the
people.
name calling. It is not
And
okay.
the item actually was
Okay,
at
and when
city
we
council,
hear
and they were
things
talking
that are
about it.
not okay, we get
And
agitated. But
homegirl
now it's my turn to
was
talk.
out here saying, "Oh well, I don't want to
As
live
a
next to
mother of
somebody
three,
who's selling food out of their house. I don't want to live in that."
And as an
Like,
elected official, my
these people are
responsibility
these are the
here
type of
today
people. Like they don't
is to ensure
like
that our community
they have so much
is
internalized
safe.
hate for themselves and
The
where they come
droids
from,
have
and
worked
like
wonders for our police department.
I just whatever.
And they're not,
Like sheep
you
is.
know, dropping
I don't
guns.
like
They're
this lady
not
at all.
dropping bombs. They are used as surveillance. Okay, when I hear in South Oxnard, fireworks. Our police department is continuously being criticized because we can't seem to get a
Yeah, but who's
handle of all the
criticizing it? You're
fireworks.
you're
They're
acting
using
like
those
you see
drones.
that they
Correct
use
me
these
if I'm
like
wrong, Chief Benitez.
fallacies of like, oh,
Okay,
you know,
they're
like
being
you don't
used
want the
for other
cops, but then
purposes.
people are criticizing. We're not the same people. I'm not up there criticizing cops
Again,
because
you
they
know,
don't do anything
I
about
heard
fireworks.
what
I
is
don't care.
best for the community. I
Like you
believe for
can't
right
like
now, this
that
is what's
doesn't
best for
work,
the community.
sister,
If we lived in a
because it's
society
not. We're
where we
not
all
the
could
same type of
behave,
people doing these
absolutely.
criticisms and calling for these
Absolutely.
things.
But right now we don't. And my job is to make sure that our children, our seniors, every one of you is protected. And I'm sorry, my husband is a high school teacher. What happens when there's a shooting? Because you're right, there's a lot of mental illnesses. Absolutely right. I see it every day in my 9 to 5, every single day. And we cannot, okay, keep up. The gentleman that's outside sleeping that some of you addressed, I'll tell you what, I'm sure we've asked him if he wants to go to a shelter. We cannot force him. That's what makes this country so great. The ability for us to speak and our ability for us to have choices. That is his choice. All we can do is offer him an opportunity to go to a shelter and get assistance. There's a saying in Spanish that my mom always says, and I always use my mom because my mom is one of the most,
you don't ask why. If you do ask this person why they don't, if they want to go to a shelter, like you don't ask why.
Find and you shall see.
Like why do these people why are they so resistant against going to shelters? Because you don't understand shelters have rules. They have curfews.
But
a lot of these people,
we need to be able to protect our children.
It's basically like living in a prison.
If something happens in our schools,
and a lot of these people would rather not be there because they know that they're going to still get treated like shit.
Resources that they need.
They're going to be living in shit.
Everybody's
and
going
now
to be
it's like they're going to have all of these rules
us.
And restrictions.
How dare you?
And not for their benefit.
How dare you?
But like these people like her don't like take the time to say, oh, why are these homeless people refusing to go to shelters? They use that excuse and they use them as, oh, well, we told them if we want to go to shelter, and they said no. You see, they don't want help.
We'll hold that in
like that. That's as far as their like logic and reasoning will stop.
Thank you very much. Thank you for everyone that has spoken. This argument or the whole concept of it, I always go back to when I was a college student. The aspect of the gang junction began when I was in college. And I had a long-winded conversation with a classmate that actually was weirdly happened to live a block away from my house. I live on 2nd and Sarita. He lives on Morris. His brother was in the gang junction. His argument, actually, weirdly enough, is I was against the gang junction. He was for the gang junction. One thing that I will always remember that he said, the gang junction was to him never to protect him, but it was to protect that lady, that old lady that may be walking to the Circle K. It was there to protect his grandmother. He always took it as that.
From who? Protect him from who, brother?
Bluntly, he said that, you know, if things be it what they be in Colonia, is he wanted his grandmother to be safe. Every time an issue like this comes up, that's what I go back to and look at. Now living there for so long, my neighbors, good and bad, even if I don't get along with some of them, but seeing them get up there in age, seeing them now, some of them walk with strollers, I see some of the dangerous things that may happen to them. Just this summer, you know, there was a situation at my neighbor's house. Police was out there. It was quite a situation at 2 p.m. Everyone had to stay in. You know, I had 40 people at my driveway because everyone wanted to see what was going to happen. At the end of the day, nothing ended up happening. Gentleman was left, but police presence and everything that was out there. Talking to some of the neighbors afterwards, you know, did they think it was excessive? Actually, no. They were worried about safety of children because it was during the summer, because children are always out there playing. And 2, they were worried that someone, you know, maybe their mother or grandmother that lives with them might have been out doing something and something tragic might have happened.
But nothing happened. You just said nothing happened and the cops left. And they left
I always
that person
look back
alone
and
because that person was obviously not doing it.
And the older I get, will I always live in Colonia? Maybe, maybe not. But if I do, then, you know, age comes at you fast. So I might get older relatively quick. And things that I never really, you know, took for granted, you know, living there my whole life. It's like nothing. But the older you get, you know, things change. You never know, you know. When they burglarized the house, who did I call? The police. They happened to find the people who burglarized the house. with my cousin who was in the gang junction when he was shot and killed. Who did my uncle go and ask for help? The police. When the person was arrested and, you know, they were convicted, who did my uncle thank? The police. I'm not saying, you know, everything is, you know, perfect, but I am saying that in times of help, realistically, yes, who do you go and ask for help? The police. You know, all throughout, yes, I understand, you know, I wish there was, you know, we could live, you know, peacefully. I wish that crime wasn't that big of a deal. But unfortunately, growing up, it has been a deal. And quite frankly, that's all I knew. And that's great for me because
like this is such like a perfect, you know, like
I
if
don't
if anyone ever feels
realistically
bad about
see
themselves
it
and is like, oh man,
as
like I'm such a bad person,
a problem
or
because
like
that's really, that's,
I'm no
those
one or I can't
were,
do anything in life.
I
Look at
grew up
look at
with
these idiots
some of the people.
sitting in
Sadly,
the city
you know,
council
it's hard
seats,
seeing
and
your
like
friend, former students,
you can do anything.
having to go to jail,
Like
or
if they're up
even
here
worse,
sitting
having
there
them
and
pass
making
away.
these decisions when they have
So that
no
aspect, and just
knowledge.
clearly going back and
Like
looking
homie
at,
has
you
no
know,
depth knowledge
the
about
nice
like,
lady that
hey,
walks by
why
the
does
house
crime
every
happen?
day and watching out for their safety.
Like
That's
what is
what's
making
most
it so
important
that
to me
there's
as a
crime
council member
around here, and what kind of
So
crime is
thank you.
happening, and how can we address that? Like, and homie's over here, a city council member, and like thriving and stuff like that. You can do anything, brother. You can do anything in this life. These are living proof that you can do and be anything you want in this life. Wait, what is going on with this?
Go ahead, council member. Okay, we have motion on items 1 through 8. We want second. Right, correct?
I made it first.
Any other?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I needed to abstain from number 1, but I wanted to vote differently on number 2.
Abstain from number 1. Yes, 1 to 8. Okay. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
To improve the situation for Oxnard College and the residents on page of the item 9 of 13 or page 33 of the agenda. This is signed off by the president of Ventura College. Oxnard College won't get any benefit out of this. I would sure think that the biggest city, and possibly one that would need more EMT training, we'd push to get Oxnard. City manager, can you help me out on that?
Yeah, that burns me too. But the problem is the program that exists is at Ventura College. So we would like in the near future
Okay,
to
well,
expand it to Oxnard.
it's obvious that this item is going to pass.
Okay,
you
we
know,
tried.
like,
We will
even though I
continue to
guess
try.
like
Okay,
So item 5.
the city has nothing to do
Item
with
5.
it, and the city's not
Just
paying
want the
for
public
it.
to
But
understand,
like the
this is
cops
a
obviously still have
situation,
to come and
again,
beg
one of
the
the issues
city
with
to
Oxnard has been the concerns of the public with
do
money.
this
What
for some
happens with
reason.
money?
Then it's so strange.
Item 5 is deferred
But
development
you know,
fees.
it's
I'd
going to
just like
pass
to have
because the
somebody,
majority
the
is going to vote
statement
for it.
in the staff report
And
explains
also,
it,
I need to
but
take
just
my
somebody go up to the
antibiotics,
podium and
and
tell me.
also I'm
The
hungry. Yeah, I just I'm gonna go chill
will
now.
be coming to the city
It's
of
been
Oxnard.
fun.
Okay, Joe.
All of these
Yes,
people can
Councilor.
suck my pee-pee. But yeah, I'm gonna go eat now and chill, and probably kiss one in the mouth. But yeah, these people suck. It is what it is. That's why we have to build community with each other and like solidarity with each other, and just take care of ourselves, because obviously these people are not going to do anything for us.